right, and welcome back. Thank you so much for joining us here on day 3 at AdobeLive.com. I am Jason Levine, and this afternoon I'm with Mr. Matt Eastin, director and editor of the latest Imagine Dragons hit video, Believer. We've seen Believer, we've seen Roots. Today we're going to look at a little bit of On Top of the World, and also some additional music videos and some other things that you've done, just because, dude, I'm so into your style. And the fact that, you don't mind showing a messy timeline.
Yeah,
because timelines get messy.
Yeah.
And, just the reality of some of the production schedules and the craziness around what you had to deal with to create beautiful, cinematic, just musical visions.
That's nice of you.
That was very intense, right? I think this process, it must be shown.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
Okay.
I'm ready.
All right, excellent. So now, again, if you've been watching us over the last couple days, day 1 we focused on Believer. And by the way, I should also indicate, of course, that Adobe Live, we're doing these every 2 weeks with different creative disciplines. You can always find us at AdobeLive.com every 2 weeks. You can find the archived videos of what we've been doing the last few days at AdobeLive.com for 2 weeks. And then always at the Creative Cloud YouTube channel. Also, if you want to get involved in our Make the Cut contest, which is in honor of Premiere Pro's 25th anniversary, hashtag Premiere Pro 25, you can register and then have access to original footage shot and edited by Matt right here for the Believers video, and see if you can make the cut. Now, time is running out. You've got until April 8th to make your submission, but this is an amazing opportunity. And what is the prize, Matt?
$25,000.
25 grand.
Yeah.
Make the cut. Yeah.
It's worth it.
It's worth it, right?
Throwing your hat in the ring.
Yeah, nothing to lose, all right?
Right.
So check it out. Again, that's makethecut.adobe.com. You'll probably see a link in there from our Nightbot coming in just there it is. Oh, thank you. Evil Cerise is already on top of it. So, all right, so I thought maybe we'd start before we kind of break things down, and also just to point out that so far, between Believer and Roots,
Right.
completely different looks.
Yeah.
Just totally different.
Totally different.
So much so that one would even say, wow, this is probably 2 different editors, 2 different... I mean, it's
I'm
just...
sure.
Yeah, it's really different.
Right.
This one, which I think is... And in fact, we just had other people in the studio, too, and they're like, oh, On Top of the World.
Yeah.
This one is very unique.
Right.
Also extremely different from the other 2. And I think it's actually my favorite for a number of reasons, which if you haven't seen this video, you're going to get a look of it right now. But there was one significant difference as well from the others, which was the other 2 were really, and you told these great stories about, hey, they were like run and gun.
Yeah, there was no time. There was barely any pre-production.
Right.
Things were changing at the last minute.
Right. Flying out on this day, their band's not even there, meeting them, minimum time to get shots,
Right.
and then out again. Whereas this one, I think you actually mentioned you had weeks of pre-production,
Which is unheard of,
Right.
right? But I had almost like a little.
What did you
over
do with
a month.
yourself?
I
Right,
know,
yeah,
right? So what's cool is that with the On Top of the World video, we did have a little over a month of pre-production.
Okay, yeah.
So I co-directed this with my friend Corey Fox.
Right, okay.
A really creative, intricate guy. He actually he's a concert venue owner.
Interesting.
That I've tried to turn into a director
Oh,
or
right.
production designer.
Right.
So we really tag teamed this video.
Okay.
Anyway, so yeah, we were able to put in a lot of details. We were
Right.
able to hide a lot of Easter eggs.
So many Easter eggs in this video.
Decide
Oh, yeah.
every last little detail of what people were wearing.
Wow.
Background cars and scenes.
Right. And it shows too.
I hope so.
It absolutely comes through. And when you watch this now, again, when you think about this concept of having weeks of pre-production and detail, attention to detail, particularly when you're doing basically a period piece here,
Right.
for lack of a better word, right? You're recreating a point in time. Not only do you successfully do that via costuming and obvious color grading and other things, but it's the look, it's the movement, everything about this modern band being in this scenario. It's just, you just deliver it with such beauty and finesse.
Oh, thanks.
And it really comes across. And after we talked and Matt mentioned how much pre-pro had gone, I'm like, okay, yeah, you can see it.
Right.
You can really see it. You can really feel it. So,
in fact, I compromised post-production time
right.
because I wanted more pre-pro.
Right.
And so I really cut this in maybe 2.5 or 3 days, which is quick because you have to deliver a rough cut,
Right, sure.
get feedback, deliver a fine cut, get feedback. So it was
Right.
like cutting the video in 1 day, getting feedback, and then doing these rounds of back and forth
Right,
with the label
of
and with the
review
band.
and everything.
Yeah.
And that's kind of interesting, actually, having said that. Oh, and yes, as always, of course, tell us where you're from. So
Right.
far I can see we've got Brighton,
Cool.
Yorkshire, A couple people from Yorkshire. Logan, Utah. Nice.
Hey, yeah, that's close to home.
All right, someone New Jersey, Brazil, Istanbul.
I saw my friend Ren on there. I talked about my bandana. So, hey, Ren.
Nice. Thank you so much for joining us. Kind of interesting what you just said there, though, about you actually wanted more pre-production time and less post.
I know, which I'm always the opposite. Like on Believer, I was the opposite. Like I needed more time.
It's that like fix it in the mix idea that I think many of us, many people in creative, you sort of subscribe to that today. We didn't quite get the light, or we didn't quite get this. We'll fix it in post.
Exactly.
We'll have more time.
This was like, we have to shoot this perfectly because I don't really have a lot of post.
Right.
And that video really was a lot of, I mean, as you'll see, it's a lot of straight cuts.
Right. It's a man who loves the straight cuts. Norway, Nebraska, Belgium, India, Michigan, Miami, Romania, Hungary. Ooh, fantastic international audience today. Germany, Switzerland. Thank you so much, Rudolph, Flyer, and David, LL Studio, Mohammed, Cecil, Peter Young. Very nice to see all of you. All right, let's not waste any more talking time.
No worries.
And by that I mean, let me not waste any more time talking, me personally.
Come on.
Right. Let's show on top of the world.
Okay, cool.
All right.
So I'm just gonna play it right here. We got full screen.
Got full screen.
Okay, great.
And you can just make that as loud as you can. Yeah. Okay. We got it. Here we go.
I haven't watched this in a couple years.
It actually said law. I didn't catch that before.
Luna.
Yeah. So great. Conspiracy theorists, all of us.
So many things I forgot about this.
Got the handshake. Like, it's so perfect too.
All right.
Oh,
It's been a
man.
while since I've watched that.
So good. So good. And you know what's funny? And so now again, if you're watching this and Matt mentioned all these little Easter eggs and references, and there are so many.
Yeah.
And one that I just noticed too, and I don't even know if this was necessarily totally intentional, but this is one of those things that I think I picked up on the first time I saw it about kind of nailing this period in time.
Mm-hmm.
And it's something which probably a lot of people would think was sort of insignificant. So at the end there, when they're in the
Sure.
crowd and there's
I'll
just that
scrub down.
moment, there's just a moment where they're clapping to the beat.
Right.
If you ever watch 60s and 70s, like Ed Sullivan show or anything
Right.
where there was live music or kind of lip synced live music, this is a significant thing. Audiences in the 50s too, 50s, 60s, and 70s, they always clapped on the 1 and the 3. So like today, we clap on 2 and 4, right? Right? But in the 60s, it was almost like 4 to the floor.
Right.
They didn't clap on the 2 and 4. They clapped on the downbeat, not the up. So you actually did that here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, that's totally significant.
That's a good
Totally
catch.
significant, dude.
Good
because
catch.
honestly, watch anything, probably up until I'm even talking like, I'm trying to think of some of the other shows from the early 70s. Well, there was Don Kirshner's rock concert. Well, it doesn't matter. Those are so old. But watch audiences. They're always clapping either on all beats. Mm-hmm. No one claps like this to music, right?
Right.
You just don't do that. It's 2 and 4. No one really does that anymore anyway. But you nail like these little details.
Right.
This stuff.
That's where pre-production and post-production
Yeah.
are,
Yeah.
But it is, you get one or the other most of the time. Rarely do you get the pre-production and the post-production time, especially on a music video.
So now with something like this, because this is already quite a few years ago.
Right. This is the end of 2013.
Okay, right. So
Yeah.
we're looking at 4 years ago. So like just in terms of, and we didn't really talk about budgets and stuff per se, but obviously, I mean, just looking at this, I have to imagine the label, they were thinking, okay, this is going to be a huge song. We got to do something big, and that just kind of spawned a larger budget, presumably, than some of the others,
No.
or was the budget not much different?
No, we stretched every penny we had. I shot this in Utah, so we have a lot of friends, family, favors.
Right.
This was, this wasn't some massive budget. We just made the most with what we had.
You made it look that way too.
I hope so. And I had a lot of help. And so, for example, the kid right here on the big wheel, which
Yeah.
by the way is a big wheel from my backyard that my kids ride on.
Right.
That's my nephew on the big wheel.
Nice. Nice.
The snow guard sticker is something we invented right here.
Oh yeah.
So that patch and symbol. So snow guard is, let's get rid of this here.
Yeah.
Snow guard is actually, dragons backwards.
Right.
We added the eye. We were trying to make fun of conspiracy theorists in this video, which is why the whole video, even like the hat he's wearing,
Right.
every little detail is about 1960s, especially
Right.
conspiracy theories.
Yeah.
There's a theory that Stanley Kubrick, the famous director,
Right, yeah.
2001:
Sure.
Space Odyssey, Clockwork Orange, that he directed the moon landing.
Right.
And so, even right here, this is the stand
Yep.
and brick appliances. So this is like a Stanley Kubrick nod right here.
Yeah. And when you were looking before at the red glowing light with the white, that was the
That's Hal.
0009 law.
And then
Hal
here's the
9000
TV brand
backwards,
that I
right?
invented called the Monolith.
So
Television
good.
right here. I'll just kind of, so this right here, if you've seen The Shining.
Oh, yeah.
This is the carpet from the Overlook Hotel
Yeah.
that Danny
Oh,
rides.
oh,
the big
Bernard
wheel.
got it. Oh,
Hey,
dude.
Nice.
Nice.
Very
What's
cool.
up, Bernard? Good to see you.
Good catch.
So good. Oh, and yes, Evil Cerise. You want to watch German TV today and you'll see clapping on 1 and 3? So I was even referencing like Musikladen. That was the one I was thinking of from the late 60s, early 70s too. Always on 1 and 3.
So a famous movie in 1969, which is, when the moon landing happened.
Right.
A famous movie was Steve McQueen Bullitt.
Oh, yeah.
Where he drove this Mustang and wore these clothes and those sunglasses. 2001 on the house for 2001: Space Odyssey. Like every frame.
Even
and
his jacket. I was even thinking you even got like the jacket
yeah,
too. Like he's
from,
really got the
exactly.
and he's wearing the same clothes I think, almost in the whole movie.
Right.
Right?
Yeah, and there are lots of like crazy car chase scenes.
Oh, yeah.
It's like jumping.
And that paved the way for Dirty Harry,
Right.
3 years later. And what's interesting there, too, if you know Bullitt, and it's Bullitt, right?
Yep.
Lalo Schifrin, who did the music for that, which is, again, a very integral part of, especially the chase, but that whole film, he, too, again, 3 years later in 71, would do the music for Dirty Harry, and then that sound became kind of a standard for all of Clint's movies as the Dirty Harry character moving forward for a couple years
I like
there.
that you know all of this.
Oh, yeah, dude.
Cool.
Yeah, so, but like those, again, so many.
It's just, every scene, and this is my cameo.
Oh, shoot, I didn't even see you there.
bus.
That's awesome.
This is my co-director.
You're the tambourine player?
Yeah.
You're relegated to tambourine. Okay.
Yeah, so this is my co-director, Corey, who, right, if I back it up, there's Corey. There's Mac. He's the manager of Imagine Dragons in the window of the band. That's Dan's big brother.
That's right. Oh, that's right. Yes.
Yeah, and then Corey here is drawing the scene from The Shining with the yellow bug. New Blizzard written on the side of the bus. That's Buzz Aldrin scrambled up. There's my son's name, Arlo, right here.
Oh, very nice.
There's my wife, Shayla.
Nice.
My daughter, Violet, written on the bus somewhere. Anyway, it's just layers on layers on layers on layers on layers. And so it was really cool. Imagine Dragons is actually letters scrambled up.
Right.
And they've never said what the real meaning was.
Interesting.
So
a little bit of Mr. Mojo Rising there.
So I created one myself just to get Imagine Dragons conspiracy theorists involved. So I created Ragged Insomnia.
That's awesome.
Anyway, it's
That's
just,
awesome.
there's a lot of stuff in here. I could go on and on.
You actually had me on that one. I didn't pick that one up.
This
actually,
is one of my favorite ones.
Yeah, and I didn't catch the Paul McCartney picture before. Yeah.
Yeah.
So good.
So Ben is representing Paul McCartney because Ben plays the bass in the band.
Right.
Paul
And
McCartney
he's
played
playing the
bass.
Hofner, too.
Yes. Paul's guitar. Good
Absolutely,
catch.
yeah.
So he steps in front of a picture of Paul McCartney, and a huge conspiracy theory at the time was the Paul is dead
Right.
conspiracy. So there's a gun pointed at Paul.
So good.
And he steps in front of the picture of Paul. Now the gun's pointed at his head because he's supposed to be Paul.
So good.
There's a lot of other little symbols and things, like the Calumet over here from The Shining. Every single thing on the wall, an English car.
Right.
Or at least we thought it was.
Right.
I could be wrong.
You got Dragons back.
We got Fonda from
right.
Easy Rider. We got
Easy
the
Rider, the
bag.
helmet, right.
Yeah, we got the Captain America helmet from Easy Rider.
So good.
Scenic Overlook, the Overlook Hotel,
Overlook Hotel.
room 237.
237.
Yep, that's how many miles it is to the moon, 237,000 miles. It was like layers and layers and layers and layers.
So now were all of those little Easter egg bits, was it part of like the storyboard or?
Yeah,
I assume you must have had a pretty complex storyboard
We did.
or something for this. Okay.
Yeah, so and Corey and I did that. And this is one where we actually broke down the song shot by shot by shot before we shot it.
Which you didn't really do for the others.
No,
right?
I didn't even have a chance to do, not even close. Right. And so with this one, we know that the first shot is this, the second shot is this.
Right.
And we were really able to get a storyboard, which doesn't always happen. This is another one that's fun too. Yeah. So like I said, Ben was supposed to be Paul McCartney here. So this is the famous Abbey Road album cover on the crosswalk, or at least our quick version of it. Yeah. And
we've also got the yellow bug in there. There was a bug on
exactly
the original Abbey Road album cover.
And Ben has no shoes on.
Yep.
because Paul had no shoes on.
Paul had no shoes on.
And they're in the correct order depending on what instrument they played. And now this is one that some people have caught over the years, and a lot of people haven't. Dan right here walks in front of the car here with this license plate, and we just did like a really simple wipe. But we wrote, Ben is dead.
I didn't even
right here on the license plate.
And you know what's so funny? So I've seen this now quite a few times. I was looking for like the original car said 28 if. Mm-hmm. Again, that whole conspiracy theory that Paul was dead. And
would have been 28.
Would have been 28 had he lived then when they did that. Dude, I did not catch that. I'm mad at myself.
Ben is dead. Ben's mom hated that, by the way.
B. Norwood, I am such a fanboy of Matt.
Oh,
you are correct.
Thanks.
You are very correct. So someone was asking, the tile reflecting in the glasses.
Yep, that was definitely one.
Yeah.
We were going for like, we basically wanted people to think Imagine Dragons were involved with the Illuminati.
Right.
Like that was like the underlying what we wanted to go for. And so now there's all these people in the comments on the YouTube video, like, you know, saying all these Illuminati things and thinking the band is involved. It's like, oh, it worked, because that's what we were trying to do.
So damn good. Someone was asking, so how much footage did you end up with shooting this? I mean, it seems like so many scenes, so many setups.
Yeah, and we did it all in 2 days.
All the shooting in 2 days.
Yeah, and so we just had to, you know, we were like praying for good weather because a lot of these shots were outside.
Was it done in Los Angeles? Or,
no, we did this in Utah because I needed to save the money, and so I called a whole bunch of favors in to get this video done. Because we didn't have a monstrous budget to do this.
Okay.
You know, these are like stickers that I bought at a craft store to put on an old security lamp to write HAL 9000 backwards.
Right.
Another Stanley Kubrick reference.
Yeah. So good.
Kind of a mix between Stanley Kubrick and like Wes Anderson. I even saw someone
Yeah,
mention,
some people were saying Wes Anderson.
Yeah,
totally.
and that was in our storyboards too, that we kind of wanted to do that. Snow Guard, dragons.
Yeah, you've got Snow Guard everywhere in here.
Yeah.
The patches. So now, like, what about, like the space suits and stuff, and all the costumes here. I mean, this again, thinking about budget.
Right.
And actually, Joe this morning was talking about, you know, you have a budget. Where does it go? For him, in particular, with this latest short film, he spent a whole lot of it on like the scouting and location finding.
Yeah.
And the people doing that, because everything else was, they could make do and make some, they had some room to play. Here it seems like, I mean, there's so much costuming and detail here. Was a lot of that budget spent on just
absolutely.
that? And you used a pretty famous person to do the costuming for this, right? Or
no, and it was Corey Fox and Lindsay Shores.
Oh, right.
And so, I mean, famous to me.
Right. Yes. Well, yeah.
But like Utah friends.
Right. That's just unbelievable.
And then I found these spacesuits at a space camp in Texas that a guy, this really eccentric guy, runs a space camp, and he wants it to be very accurate,
authentic.
And so he's built these suits over the years, and this was the most expensive thing
that
we
those?
had. We did buy them.
Okay.
Because the Hard Rock Hotel in Vegas built a display case.
Oh,
so when you walk in the doors at Hard Rock, you see these spacesuits now,
as worn by Imagine Dragons,
and a bunch of our other props and stuff in the case, which is pretty cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's really awesome.
Yeah.
Oh damn, dude, that's great! And of course, they've got all the Snow Guard patches, which you had
exactly.
To have and those are actually made.
Those are custom made.
Those are not composited
so,
in.
No, we made patches. I still have a couple of them.
Someone's asking, do you remember what you shot this on?
Yes, this was a red Epic.
Okay, Epic 5K.
Yeah.
Okay. Gorgeous.
This is John Heder from Napoleon Dynamite.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah.
I couldn't. Now I see it. I couldn't. Yeah. I'm like, who is
he's
that
hidden.
dude?
Yeah.
That's brilliant.
This is the monkey from Friends. The TV show.
Oh my God, Marcel.
Marcel.
Oh my God.
Good reference.
Dude.
I'm impressed.
Damn.
It's also the same monkey from Outbreak.
Oh my God.
So our two most famous people and the band obviously at the time were John Heder and the monkey, and they're in the same shot. The reason that they're in the same shot was because it's illegal to rent a monkey in Utah. And so I had to do one scene.
Professional tip.
One scene was shot in LA.
This is the one scene?
And this was like, these guys are all in a band.
Right.
And we shot it at their apartment because we didn't have a lot of time. And we were basically out of money by then.
Right.
And so we got our LA monkey, Star, our Star monkey, and John Heder, who was a friend of a friend.
Okay.
And so he came because he thought it would be fun.
Right.
Because we couldn't afford John.
Right. No, okay.
Yeah.
So, all right. So just random question, maybe you don't remember. But like, so I recently did a thing in Vegas where we had to rent a snake.
Okay.
All right. And found out how, it's very easy to do in Las Vegas, actually. And found out that for around $3,700, you and your friends can rent anywhere from a 10 to 27-foot ball python or something like that. With handler. It's not handler optional. What is it to rent a monkey for,
it was like the spacesuits and then the monkey.
Right, I was going to say, it's got to be like number two.
It was right there.
And there's a handler.
Right. And we weren't allowed to touch the monkey.
Don't touch the monkey, right.
And like everyone wanted to hold the cute monkey. But
don't touch the monkey, right.
Yeah, that was all off limits. It had a specific, food we needed to bring, some kind of grape or like berry or something that we needed to have on set.
Better than bugs. So
right,
that's good,
exactly.
Right?
Anyway, like I almost need to apologize because I know that this edit, here we are talking about Adobe Premiere. This edit was done very simply.
Right.
It's a lot of straight cuts.
Yeah.
And I realize that. Like I'm sure there are people wondering why this is the one. Anyway.
But I mean, and a lot of people asked this. Were asking things yesterday, like, what would you have done? I mean, what would you have done differently if you hadn't gone sort of straight cuts? And I mean,
you know what? I don't know. Because I like it like that on this one.
And I think too,
there are definitely things I'd do differently now. It's already been a few years. I'm like, I would have sped that up a little more. I would have, you know, when the Jeep wipes the screen, it's not the cleanest transition.
I think though, for me too, just watching this the first time, and I said this at the beginning, like kind of keeping with that 60s style.
Right.
Okay, you may have seen some very long cross dissolves in the 60s and some sort of bad, you know, chroma keyed wipes and things.
Right.
But straight cuts.
Straight cuts.
Right? I mean, and I think, again, my eye went, all right, yes, this works. If you'd done some crazy, you know, white frame flashes or something,
it wouldn't have fit.
It wouldn't have fit at all.
Right.
And you just...
I mean, it could have. I guess, you know, there are no rules
That's
for
right,
editing.
there's no rules.
There's no right and wrong most of the time. This was the style we chose.
Right.
And that's what it all is. Editing is making decisions.
Right.
Some people like them, some people hate them, and I get it.
So Timmy is asking, your production manager must have been a superhero.
Yeah, no kidding. Yes, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, to make all these things happen in a total of 2 days. So how many, like, actual locations in Utah were you in? Because you've got a bunch of stuff outside, there's a bunch of stuff indoors.
So we worked with Jared Shores, and someone's mentioning Studio C right now, which is a very famous YouTube series.
Right.
It's a comedy series. Jared Shores included a bunch of his cast members. He's the creator of the show, or co-creator of the show.
Good one, Flyer.
Yeah, and so you can catch, like, there's a Studio C cast member.
Right.
There is Jared.
Oh, right.
And Jared's wife, Lindsay, who did our wardrobe.
Nice.
And it was a very,
so
like,
okay, yes.
you know, everything was pretty close to home. I mean, Lindsay and Corey Fox, these girls are like daughters of a friend of ours. Everyone was kind of a friend of a friend, another Studio C cast member.
I mean, even the cars. I mean, so
we shot in the Studio C studio when we did this moon
Okay,
landing.
so that's where this was, and the end scene with the, with the band. Okay.
Yeah. And so, you know, we asked our guy in Texas where to buy gravel to look like moon rock, and he's like, "Oh, you need washed limestone, and he told us how many tons we would probably need, and we needed tons.
Okay.
So I hired like a landscaping crew.
So this is like poured,
and we laid down tarps and
Really?
padding and like poured this into the studio.
Wow.
I mean, I'm sure some of this was done, and it was a little harder than we needed to be. There's our fake Stanley Kubrick.
Right.
He's an actor friend of ours, Whit.
Right.
You can see on the board here, it says SK for director for Stanley Kubrick.
Right.
Sorry, it's just I love showing all of the Easter eggs.
So please, you know.
You know, obviously Richard Nixon, more Studio C cast members.
And that's the thing too, the Nixon guy.
Yeah, he was good.
He was good, and
that's a fake nose. So
that's excellent.
Hair and makeup on that one did an awesome job.
And I was saying at the end, I don't know if you could hear me, like just the handshake, which is a known thing. He did kind of the cup handshake,
double,
but it was also how he bent over. He had a very particular posture.
Yeah, he really went for
The
it.
guy really went.
He did
He's
some
like
homework.
Full method on this. You know?
And he was on set too.
Oh, that's hilarious.
This whole time we're on set that day, there's kind of this creepy Richard Nixon walking around, and he was kind of flirting with girls, and it was like, okay, like we'll let it slide.
Right.
Kind of hung around the craft service table. He was really cool.
And I saw the Hofner. That was such a good little addition there.
Yeah. I like that you're catching all of it.
So one thing I was going to ask you. So when you actually see the scene where the rocket is going up, was that archival footage?
Yeah. So that was Getty Images footage.
Okay, so that was Getty. All right. Yeah. Was that the only licensed bit? Everything else here was recreated, or
everything else was recreated. We had Andrew Smith, an artist, build the Moonlander, which is now in his backyard for his kids to play in. Awesome. So he has this awesome playground piece.
That's awesome.
This is an inflatable Earth, and you can actually kind of see somebody holding
I see.
it up,
I see it
which
now.
is intentional. We wanted everything to look
Let me
pretty
zoom in
big.
so they can see it.
Yeah. So you can see that someone holding up our big inflatable globe.
And there's that Studio C cast member there.
Exactly. Yeah, good eye.
So good. Oh yeah, sorry.
No worries.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Obviously, like most of the questions about this video won't have to do with editing. We used Dan's real wife, and then this is Wayne Sermon. his wife. So those are the real wives in the video. This is, Jeremy and Mallory from Studio C.
I like, by the way, when you had Jeremy as George Harrison, he's got the same hair as George.
Yeah.
I mean, he did, I guess, anyway, but George was the only one who was like fully bearded with. Actually, John was too. But
That's true.
That's true. And he was in the white suit. But you really nailed that look of George at the end too, with the slightly more flared pants as well.
Right.
Yeah,
got a good eye.
I'm telling you.
This was not on the shot list. It just happened.
He just grabbed
and
her
we
and
thought,
started dancing.
that's great. Let's keep it.
Yeah.
We got Nixon dancing with our girl.
And he's even giving her like that kind of creepy look too, looking down, kind of wondering,
I think there's a, we even hid in the time code right here. Yeah. This is just like, let me see if I can find it. So Luna is moon in Spanish, but I thought that I actually put in a couple of frames of time code where it said the date of the moon landing. Maybe I didn't. Anyway, whatever.
Was
It's
it
not
July
important.
3rd, 69 or July 5th, 69? July 69, right?
Yeah, but I thought, was that it?
Did you make one of those like 69 or something?
Anyway, it doesn't matter.
Anyway, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. But are there any questions or anything?
I think people are kind of just in awe of all the
Okay.
of all the detail. And I guess, and this really just speaks to that idea of pre-production. Like,
Exactly.
if you have the time, and of course, like all these Hard Day's Night sort of nods and things. If you have the time, I mean, it's amazing how deep. I mean, this is a short film, really.
That's what we were trying to do.
It's a short film, It's not just really a video attached to music. It's a short film. The fact that you had like, the USSR patches, old school there.
Exactly.
I mean, just these little things. Someone's asking, when you edit music videos, do you edit in order? Do you edit in sections by verses and chorus, or does this change from project to project?
It always changes. I mean, every project's a little different. I typically try to lay in all of the performance last. Okay. In a traditional music video where you have your story and then you cut away to the band performing.
Band doing it, right.
That I'll try to do the story because I want the story to be the focus usually.
And to be solid.
Exactly, and I want the performance to be more like cutaway, so I'll add in the performance after.
Right, okay.
But some videos, and a lot of videos I do, are just performance.
Right.
And so it just depends on the project. Mm-hmm. Here's another fun one that I don't know if I've ever said publicly.
Okay.
So this moment here, I think, do I still have my audio?
Yeah.
Okay. So did he already say his line? The one small step?
Yeah.
Okay, so obviously we wanted it to be a fake moon landing.
Right.
So it was, here we go. So that's one false step for man. One giant deceit for mankind. Right. So that's my voice.
Really?
Talking through a karaoke machine to distort it in my basement at like 4 a.m. the day before we had to deliver this.
Nice.
So that was some last minute hodgepodge audio to tie in.
That's awesome.
So that's another fun Easter egg, I guess.
Also, if you've ever used like those kind of home karaoke machines.
Yeah.
The speakers are notoriously kind of loud and crunchy.
Yeah, and just kind of bad.
Kind of bad sounding,
and like that,
right,
you hear
right.
like that was happening.
That was happening on the end.
Yeah.
They weren't removing any hum or doing any noise reduction on that.
Yeah. So I was like holding a Zoom audio recorder up to a speaker on a crappy karaoke machine.
That's so
at 4
good.
a.m. So
Flyeron's asking. So you were using the Epic. So did you use any specific LUTs? Do you remember when you were doing it, or?
We shot it all pretty flat and then just added this color back. And we didn't really have a lot of time. Again, we took pre-production on this one over post-production on this one. And so this was like basement coloring where we used, very simple software.
Right.
I would say it would have been in Premiere at the time, but at the time
we didn't have Lumetri at the time.
It wasn't there.
Yeah,
so I'm trying to remember what we used, but it would have been the equivalent of like a 3-way color corrector.
Right.
Did our coloring.
Right.
And so I mean, it wasn't super pro.
And yet, but again, dude, like
it turned out cool though.
Even the very first 2 scenes, and actually, and that Paul McCartney scene, that was the one too for me, and the wife, and just her body language in that.
Yeah.
And I was talking about this the other day to Matt. I was saying, you watch a lot of remakes, like Hairspray was one for me that was remade, and then they did the Broadway thing, but like the remade version, again, the body language, even in like the Broadway take on it, and they did like the Macy's Day Parade thing, whatever, a year or two ago when it premiered, and I'm watching, and of course the singing and everything, they're very good, and dancing's very good, but the body, the movement is wrong.
Right.
People just didn't move, they didn't dance then like we do now.
Right.
Not me personally.
Yeah.
I don't dance at all. I want to see that. You wouldn't know what would you think something was happening to me physically if I started dancing. But you know what I mean? Like just like clapping on 1 and 3. Like,
right.
There's all these specific things, and when even the way that she's sitting with her children.
Right.
Was very. I mean, I think my parents. There's a picture of my mom and her sister sitting next to their mom
in the pose.
Pose. They might even have those same haircuts, even.
Right.
Hopefully, right?
Those are cool haircuts.
Yeah. It was a unisex haircut too, guys.
Sure.
Boys or girls. If you're about 6 years old, you could have that. It's so good, and just all this. So I mean, honestly, all this costuming and everything, the cars.
Mm-hmm.
I guess maybe perhaps in Utah, it's. I mean, did you have to go to like used car lots to get these things?
No,
or,
we
again,
contacted.
friends who had,
it was like a friend who knows a guy who does car shows, and he brought his friends. So it's like the opposite of doing it in LA, where it's like layer upon layer,
upon layer
of
right.
red tape.
Right.
This was like asking, the local city if we could use the street on a Sunday afternoon when all the stores are closed. Because it's Utah,
right.
So everything's closed on Sunday, and so we shoot on Sunday. We bring in the right cars. I think that, we were worried about this Volkswagen because I think it's a '71,
right?
And so it actually wasn't a period piece,
That's right, right.
So,
yeah. That's it.
So, but we had the time to worry about that, which was such a luxury. But because of that, we didn't get our post time, and so it's one compromise or the other.
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you though, man. I mean, it's so fun to hear the stories and to really compare. And it's one of those things. You look at Believer, you look at Roots, you look at this. I mean, each one of them looks like very different, and they all reflect massive amounts of work.
Right.
And when you get the stories behind them, it's really kind of unbelievable. Now, something about location shooting too. So again, like the fact that you could do this in Utah, significantly less cost than doing it in LA or
night and day.
In New York or something like that. Where even just permits for a street, like if you have to close a street in Los Angeles, good luck, right?
Yeah, that would have been more than our budget.
Than the
to
whole
do
budget,
this whole thing,
right? Just to get like one crappy street somewhere,
exactly.
right? Where you could shoot through a window, So I was going to ask you too about some of the now your Monolith TV where you were.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Sort of corner pinning in video and stuff.
Yeah, and that was all just done, in Premiere, just using like a masking tool.
Right.
Yeah, it's not even. You can tell, like it's not a perfect feather here, right. Close to it.
Okay, now I see it.
I mean, you can see that. It's not. It's not the slickest edit, but
it's damn good.
Yeah, like I'll be the first to admit it.
Right.
So yeah, any questions or any?
People are asking a lot of stuff about the contest. So,
okay, cool. So let's go there.
Yeah. So very quickly to Cecil Matthew. So you cannot use any additional footage. So the footage that is provided is the only actual footage that you can use. Now, having said that, with regard to overlays, you can create graphical elements in After Effects in Photoshop. These can augment the video. You just can't bring in any additional footage. So like Matt showed when he was showing Believer 2 days ago, you had some like fog overlays and actual video overlays. If they're not in the package, you can't use those. But outside of that, anything in CC you can use, and plugins are also okay, regardless of whether they're Premiere plugins or After Effects plugins or Photoshop plugins. So John Z Movies is asking, what is your inspiration for the color grade, and how did you process it from your mind to the final? And you kind of answered some of that earlier.
Yeah, so the color grade, it was kind of a mix, and again, we got to decide this before shooting. We shot it all raw, but we were kind of going for kind of that yellowy tinted, blue and the black, kind of Wes Anderson-y style.
Yeah.
Which I'm a huge fan of.
Oh,
I mean, who isn't a huge fan of it?
Right. And like earth tones, just like very earthy. I love that scene.
Not super poppy,
right?
But yeah, you can see the yellowy tint.
Yeah.
But we wanted it to kind of feel a little period, but also, there's definitely a lot of yellow in this shot.
Yeah.
cross between Wes Anderson and Stanley Kubrick because those were references we were using.
Right.
And
So good.
yeah, I love my kids still ride this big wheel.
Do they?
Yeah.
That's
The
so
sticker
good.
fell
Yeah,
off.
I was going to say, do you still have the sticker
fell
on there?
off.
Oh, okay.
I still have a few snow guard patches,
right.
but yeah.
Maybe for a future contest, you know.
Right.
So Optical Lunacy is asking,
Cool.
have you ever rejected some projects because they didn't fit your editing style?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and that's probably pretty common. I mean,
And a lot of times it's just I don't think I'm a good fit, and I'm just not the right guy, and I just have to admit it. Like,
Okay.
hey, you should use someone better at what you're going for.
right. And is that hard if there's like, you know, it could be great exposure or great
Right.
money or whatever? I
Right.
mean,
I mean, if the budget is massive,
Right.
then I'll direct it
Right.
and let somebody else cut it who's better at that style.
that's a great response too, man.
So-
and that's that, you know, and that's it. Like,
Putting people in the right places.
you know, I think knowing what you really excel at.
Yeah, and your limitations.
Right.
Yeah.
Man's got to know his limitations.
Exactly.
Magnaforce 73. I'm all over you. Pretty
I
soon.
have plenty of limitations.
Yeah, right.
so-
Hey, so do I. Right, totally.
Yeah.
Let's see. So, and Hofberg is asking, are you mainly working on music videos, and if so, why?
I mean, music videos are fun.
Right. You said this on day one too. You just love them.
I love them. I was a kid who grew up watching MTV and VH1 and
Right.
thought, I want to make something that'll go on that.
Right.
And when the On Top of the World video premiered, it premiered via MTV.com, and I thought, hey, like I kind of did it.
Right.
You know, this was the first, you know, big release that I had done
Right.
at the time. And
yeah, because
it was
the
exciting.
one. So the one prior, the single room with the 70s.
Oh, and I had done a few of those types,
that was
live performance
that
stuff.
was like a year or two
Yeah,
before this.
probably a
right?
year or two before.
Which is kind of also amazing. So
Yeah.
And this was, again, you can watch this on the replay at adobelive.com or on the Creative Cloud YouTube channel, day one with Matt, where he showed the first Imagine Dragons project,
Right.
music video that you cut.
The Occidental Saloon
the
video.
Occidental Saloon video. Small room.
Right.
Very small room.
Yeah,
Right.
just my friend Dean.
Right.
It was just a room in his house, you know. Yeah.
Canon 7D.
Right.
I think you said you had a Zoom then too, or some
Yeah,
kind
it
of
was an
recorder.
H4n.
H4n.
Yeah, I
And-
mean, very, very simple.
Right.
It was me and my friend Isaac,
Right.
and we shot it together, and Corey, you know, helped pick out. Corey, who co-directed On Top of the World, picked out, you know, the pictures and
Right.
things. Dean, who,
Right.
you know, we're at his house.
Right.
He had the Zoom in his hand. It was like that kind of thing.
And yet,
Yeah.
18 months later.
Yeah, I get to do one of their
This.
music videos.
So now.
And that also says a lot about how fast they got popular.
Absolutely.
They went from touring around in a van together to doing world tours overnight.
Right. Pretty much
So,
overnight, right?
Yeah.
Wow,
So,
that-
but it was also intimidating. This video came out after Radioactive,
Right.
after
Which
Its
was the
Time,
one that broke them
Yeah.
worldwide. Yep.
Demons.
Right,
So
right.
this was kind of a follow-up, so it was intimidating because those were huge videos.
High stakes.
Yeah.
Right.
Cool songs, great
Right.
directors.
Right, right.
And so, yeah, it was fun, you know, putting everything on the line
Yeah.
doing this one.
And I think-
and I really like this video.
And when those opportunities arise, I mean, you've got to go for
Yeah,
it.
you
right?
go for it.
You go for it.
Yeah.
And
you
and,
give everything.
and I think it's really interesting. And I think I said this yesterday, that I had this actually the same. I was telling Matt earlier about a lot of influential professors and things that I had and mentors in college and stuff. And the studio guy,
Right.
my studio guy who taught me all this stuff when I was in college, he had this phrase that he used to say all the time with regard to making records, but it applies to really any creative discipline like this, movies or music video, which is you have to pre-produce to reproduce.
Yeah.
And he was really big on that. And, you know, again, something like this, and he was, of course, referencing, you know, making records when we were still confined to, say, 24 tracks of analog.
Right.
Or 8, you know, if you're talking about Abbey
Yeah.
Road, 8 tracks.
Limitations.
You know? So you got to
Which
think.
can be good.
Which can be great.
Right.
Because you're like, okay, I need to know what's going to go where,
Mm-hmm.
what's going to be played together, what's going to be captured in the same spot, location we can leverage. We can do all these scenes here. You get that pre-pro sort of done and solidified in your mind. I imagine, at least on set, of course, there are certain things you can't predict, but
Sure.
it really allows you to kind of tick the boxes and move forward.
Stay on schedule
Right.
to some extent. Yeah,
Whereas,
never on schedule.
you know, The opposite of that is, when Matt's making the Roots video where he's, landing in New Zealand and the band's not even there, and he's talking to Dan, going, "So what are we gonna do?"
Yeah. So
right.
Where do you want to meet?
Where do you want to meet?
Are you staying in the same hotel as me? Like,
right.
Yeah. How big is New Zealand?
Not right.
Yeah.
Not pre-production.
Yeah. The lack of.
Yeah.
So that's why we went doc style.
Yeah.
That you say that this feels a little more like a short film, and Roots doesn't.
Right.
Roots feels like a little documentary.
Right.
And it's because that's what we could do, or at least what I could do.
Now, you've had a couple questions, and I know you answered this, but I loved your answer, and I actually shared it with the Premiere team, members of the Premiere team yesterday about, do you have to go to film school? What really ultimately makes you a good editor? And you had a great comment about, you went to school.
Right.
Great broadcast journalism department.
Sure, but not a film program.
Right.
And it's really, whether you go to school or not, none of us can ever act like we know everything.
Right.
Because we don't.
Right.
And you have to keep learning.
Right.
And so whether you're learning in a university or with YouTube tutorials or Philip Bloom tutorials or whatever it is that you're doing, you have to learn it. And you can't, and it also takes trial and error.
Right.
I mean, it takes a long time.
And just to keep doing it too.
Absolutely.
Right.
It's the repetition and also doing projects that aren't good sometimes. And then maybe the next one will be a little better. And like I still have hits and misses all the time.
Sure. Right, even now.
Oh, absolutely.
You have amazing successful videos, and then something just may not work.
Sometimes it just doesn't land.
And the funny thing too is that you talk about sort of keep learning, and especially now where everything is evolving so quickly. I mean, it's been a long time since I've been in university, but I can't imagine, not unlike the industry itself. I mean, if you've got curriculums as fast as formats change, platforms change. I mean, I can't even believe, universities obviously, they can't keep up with that in terms of curriculum readiness. No, it would be impossible. So a lot of it is really where you are, what you're doing, what you need to know. And, let me Google that for you to find something out about it,
Right.
Was this the first time you'd shot on Red or?
No, I'd shot, I think, some other commercial pieces and things.
Okay, on like the classic 4K, the Red one.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Yeah.
And Ty Arnold was the DP on this. Same guy. DP'd Roots, DP'd. So, he's good.
Says a lot about the look here, too. Yeah, makes a lot of sense. Yeah, see, even like the couch color, the dress color.
So that's a couch on my patio.
Oh, is it really?
That I brought.
Nice. The paneled back wall.
A real life magazine with John Glenn on the cover.
Oh, yes.
So like everything. These are
fake fruit,
the cars
very
that Danny played with in The Shining when he was on the carpet. Obviously the twins from The Shining,
absolutely,
with the mop top haircuts. Right. So
the boys instead of the girls, but they're in bluish shirts. Everywhere. The girls were in little blue creepy dresses.
Yep, exactly, with bows.
That's with bows.
So I mean, we really had time to. I mean, the peacock, everything means something in the shot, which is really fun.
Dude, it's really something else.
And the gal here ended up being on I think The Bachelor or The Bachelorette or something a couple years later. So,
really?
Yeah. So
that's funny.
Another Easter egg that wasn't intended.
And I was watching it. I've never actually watched The Bachelor, but she did look like a personality. She looked like and again, I not knowing.
And she was a friend of a friend. In fact, she was like a friend of Ty, the DP. So he's like, oh, I know who can, be the wife of Ben.
The wife. Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. So good. So let's see. So again more. Oh, so are you ever looking for PAs on set?
Oh yeah, all the time. Yeah.
If you're based in Utah,
exactly.
Right. Take your time and make it awesome. That's a very good comment for sure.
Always.
Absolutely.
When you have the time, you don't always get the time.
Do these videos require a lot of key corrections, or are all the props on set already colored?
No, this was all pretty straight out
built
of the box.
And straight out. Right. It was built to order. Right.
Yeah.
So for something like that, I mean, even there, again, so a lot of your pre-production time was spent sort of strategizing, storyboarding. Again, it's so much attention to detail, but then there's all the physical requirements. You had to build the lunar module. You had to build all these other things.
Yeah. And like we're not in a home right here. We're in that same studio where we had the lunar module.
Okay.
I had my friend Aaron Coleman
mock up
build a wood paneled wall and this is the bookshelf next to my edit bay where I edit. And this is the couch on my patio, like I said. So, I mean, this video looks like it had an awesome budget, when in reality, I just called every favor that I had and just like wrung it out until I got every drop. And and still owe a lot of favors because of this video.
The typewriter too. I was thinking of that. You know.
Yep. The Shining.
The Shining.
Yeah.
Yeah. And of course,
it's the right brand.
It's the right brand. Yeah. It looks. As I was saying, I can't read it, but it looks like the one that he's using.
Right. And a lot of that too. I can't take credit for all of it because I had a lot of people helping. Corey Fox again.
Right.
Co-directed with me. He has an amazing attention to detail, so I can't just stand here and take credit. The director always gets too much credit.
See,
So
such
that
a humble
it's
man.
it's I mean there, there's one, or my name and Corey's name are on the video, but like
Right.
there should be 50 or 60 names on the video.
Also, I didn't catch it before, but those particular colors of like the shaggy velour.
Oh
pillows,
yeah, these pillows, yeah.
I think I had those growing up.
Yeah, those are great.
And they were my mom's parents that she took when she like left the house and got married.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so good. And yeah, of course, like the rotary telephone, which
With the peacock built
with the
onto
peacock
it,
built on, it's just so good. And those kinds of tables, like end tables,
Right.
it was like ornate end tables that were so common in the 60s that didn't fit the rooms they were in,
Right.
Again, it almost kind of speaks to the Illuminati concept too,
Which
right?
we were going for.
Which you were going
yeah,
for.
we wanted conspiracy theories.
So cool.
I hid one reference to this video in the Believer video.
Oh, nice.
So
Nice.
yeah.
So
We'll
now,
see if someone ever finds it.
oh yeah. So now,
Yeah.
a couple of people have asked too.
Sure.
Any new tips for new filmmakers or someone venturing into this kind of work? And you've been
Yeah.
so many so far.
A good tip is always the first question people always ask is, what kind of camera should I buy? It's like,
Right.
just use what you have,
Right.
especially for the time being. And if you're up and coming, don't feel like you have to wait to buy a Red or even a Sony A7S II or a 5D.
Right.
Use what you have and just start creating content.
Right.
And especially as an editor, shoot stuff with your iPhone
Right.
and learn pacing.
Right. Right. Timing and pacing. Huge.
I mean, those are huge
part.
things.
Yeah. Mhm.
And if
People were
you
asking
can make an
yesterday.
iPhone look good,
Right.
then you can make anything look
You
good.
can make
Imagine
anything
when you finally shoot with an Alexa.
Right.
You'll be so far ahead of the game.
That's good.
You know?
Thank you, Channing. Red rum, very good, very good.
Yeah, good
reference
catch,
there,
good
right?
catch.
So, does the director collaborate with the DP when working on lighting, or does the DP take control? That's a good one.
Both.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Now, for this too, contrasted to the others, I imagine, and of course you were on sort of the Studio C, so you had more lighting abilities there. You had a little more.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if we had anything in the grid in the studio.
Right.
I think we brought
You
in
brought in
practical
stuff.
lighting, a gaffer.
Okay.
Yeah, but it was definitely working with Ty, the DP, and the gaffer, and again, like, we called in a lot of favors.
Right.
And so.
And you could say too, I mean, so again, kind of, I don't want to say on the cheap, that's the wrong phrase, but yes, doing it efficiently, cost effectively.
Right, cost effectively.
And you talk about like Roots, where frankly, and I even watched it again last night too, just the underwater scenes of Dan's in the tub, you can rewatch day
Right.
2.
That's it. Yeah.
I mean, it's like LED handheld light, and that's it.
And Ty's basically standing on the bathtub, shooting straight down.
Right. And your iPhone.
And I'm holding the iPhone next to the water so Dan can hear the playback, which was at double speed.
Right.
So that he could sing more while he was
Right.
underwater.
So that he wouldn't have to stay underwater as long.
Exactly.
And it's all real too. Like,
Right.
Yeah. It's
And Dan got a lot of water up his nose, and
eyes burning.
it's like the Believer video. He took a lot of real punches. In the Roots video, he got a lot of water up his nose.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Dan, I can't say enough good things about him.
Dan goes
He
for
goes
it too.
for
He
it.
really goes all in.
I had a stunt man. I didn't have a
Yes.
real stunt man. I
Yeah.
basically had a friend willing to put
Willing
on
to
the
get hurt,
astronaut,
right.
the astronaut suit, willing to fall into the rocks. And I also
Which
had
are real rocks. Right.
which are real rocks. And I
Right.
also had like a pad for Dan to fall on, so that when he fell off the lunar lander, our fake lunar lander, I'm sure you know the scene I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah,
I'm
of course.
not wanting to scrub anymore. Oh, there we go. We woke it up. But anyway, but Dan was almost insulted. Like, no, like, I'm not going to let someone else fall. Like, I'm going to fall.
Right.
Like, all right, I love that. I love that. Like, and I'm glad we're in Utah so that the Interscope Records insurance guy isn't here to tell us no.
That's right. Yeah. Right. Yes, it's
Right.
it's much cheaper to have your buddy,
Right.
right? Not the lead
Yeah.
singer, you know. What do you think is the Comic Sans of editing?
Oh,
Interesting.
That's a cool question.
That is a cool question. I like that.
The Comic Sans of editing.
And it could be, I guess, it could fall into different categories.
Yeah, it's person to person.
Yeah.
I mean, for a while it was the Star Wipe, but the Star Wipe's back.
Star Wipe is back. We said this yesterday.
There's a time
too.
and a place for everything.
Right.
Even Comic Sans. There's a time and a place for Comic Sans.
There is.
So, what's that?
Lens flare.
Lens flare. Yeah.
I was gonna say the whole
overused lens flare.
The whole transition concept can ebb and flow in terms of cool and lame, right?
Exactly.
Like, we were talking yesterday about like the flash to white,
Yeah.
which used subtly still delivers.
Use that one frame, just for the pop.
And then I told the story how I did something and used like 12 of them in a row.
Sure. I've done the same thing.
Fail, right?
Yeah.
Just so bad.
You just feel like you're getting sick watching
right.
it. Yeah.
Because you are a little,
Right.
Yeah. That's a really great question. I like that.
Yeah, that's a cool question.
Yeah, and you're right. Star Wipe. I mean, and there's so many things. You know what I would say too, and this again kind of creeps back in and out. But a couple years ago, and I think it was Stu Maschwitz who had done like a whole blog post on this. So the color grading, like that first Transformers movie,
right,
where skin tones were. Oh, you can't see our ladder back here.
The orange and blue.
The orange and blue, right? Mm-hmm. And there was that period where for 18 months, every movie that was graded, every action movie, right, to be specific, had that look. Everyone had a spray tan.
Yeah.
Young or old, everyone had this, crazy particular skin tone, and there was this hyper blue to offset that was just supposed to make things pop, but
I know what you mean. Every movie poster for those 3 or 4 years, it was all orange and blue posters.
All orange and blue.
And you knew looking at it like this is going to be an action movie
right.
because it's orange and blue.
Right.
Even just subconsciously.
Right. And most of them were not great.
Right.
Right.
I know what you mean.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah. So again, and those things, again, they fall in and out of fashion. There was like the period for a while where you saw a lot of vectorized video.
Right.
So like it started sort of with like A Scanner Darkly. Do you remember that? The Robert Downey Jr. movie where he was.
I don't.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it was one of those where they kind of did like the cartoon effect. So he looks all outlined.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And some of that was kind
They're
of
definitely editing fads.
right, and some of that was like coming out of the early 2000s iTunes. The silhouette commercials.
Right. Oh, that's right. It was that's right with the headphones.
With the headphones, and the
inverted color.
And the inverted color,
yeah.
right? And it was always flat color.
Right.
Green, cyan.
There was even a U2 music video, I think, at the time that did that, right?
Yes, it was
something like that.
Hello.
Yeah, that's
yes,
right. Yeah,
totally.
Cool. Again, there's a time and a place.
There's a time and a place, and when it was so new, it was awesome.
Right.
And then slowly you're like, oh, here we go. Oh, and that's what it was. It was a series of Charles Schwab commercials. Do you remember this?
You lost me on that one.
Who remembers the Charles Schwab commercials in the chat? You will earn my enduring love and affection. Remember, all these Charles Schwab commercials that were using this like cartoon.
Oh, I know exactly what you're talking about now. Where it looked like, there was a line art.
Yes.
Effect you could drop in on like old Final Cut or
it's
or
in
Adobe.
After Effects.
Okay.
It's called it was originally like cartoon or cartoonified.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was they basically did these interviews with the Charles Schwab guy.
Yes.
And for some reason
For some reason he was a cartoon talking about like money management and insurance.
And it was just distracting.
It was very distracting and very bizarre. And they went with this campaign for like 2
Longer
years.
Than
really long time.
But again, I hate yeah.
Charles Schwab is great. We're not knocking Charles Schwab.
Exactly.
But it was just
But that was an interesting decision.
It was a very interesting decision for a brand that really
well, they wanted to be taken so seriously, but then they made their spokesman a cartoon.
Right.
With a filter.
I like that.
Where it was like half human,
right,
half cartoon.
Right. Because that
it was mostly
part of
like the edges were
right.
cartoon.
No, that's it. It was that's exactly what I was gonna say. So it was all this very
that's
dark,
funny.
thick edging.
Yeah, I had no idea what you were talking about until you said that. I'm like, I know
back.
exactly what you're talking about.
So you had this very thick edging, as if you just took a photo and like with a very wide tip marker and drew the contours of your face and body. But like the skin tones they weren't video, but they were like color softened.
Sure.
So it looks sort of illustrated, hand drawn, and such a strange period of time. But you're right; these things kind of come in and out of popularity.
Sure, and sometimes it's cool to use the thing that isn't cool.
Right, and they come back.
Right,
they really do come back.
And so that's why, like, yeah, all the things we're making fun of in 5 years will be the cool thing again,
again, right.
and they're going to be making fun of us for
Yeah.
mocking the Charles Schwab commercial.
That's right. No,
So it's all
the next video
yeah.
you're going to be asked, hey, so when you shoot this, be sure to use kind of low contrast because we want to beef up the contrast with very thick drawn
exactly,
lines. Right.
exactly.
Okay.
So it's all yeah.
Yeah. Oh, Bernard. Yeah, cell shading at its worst was that so good. Yeah, totally. And Wesley, yes, he was saying earlier, grew up watching MTV.
Yeah.
I love it. Oh, and Joost. Hey, Joost Vanderhoven from Netherlands. Joost is also
Cool.
a great editor.
Oh, right on.
Motion graphics designer.
Very cool.
Let's see. So, how do you share your vision with your colleagues so they know what you're going for?
Well, I try to use the same team as much as I can.
Sort of DP consistency.
Very
here,
similar
yeah.
crew from On Top of the World, who again, we're doing a lot of favors. I try to pay those favors back a lot of the time by hiring them again when I can hire them again. So when I have commercials or music videos or other things going on, especially if it was a good experience, I try to use kind of a similar team.
Right.
Now, I mean, I work for myself. Like I am just Matt Eastin, you know. Like
Well,
I don't have a company.
You're not just Matt
I totally am.
Oh,
But,
okay.
you know, I'm
So
a
humble.
basement editor. You know, that
yeah.
gets cool opportunities every once in a while, and I try to run with those opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, when I can build my team, I build it, but I build it out of other freelancers,
Right.
like myself. And
Nice.
so Ty and I have worked on a ton of projects together, but Ty is his own thing and I'm my own thing.
Right.
But we've collaborated a lot.
Many times.
Right.
And there's that
But like, there's
trust
no
there and-
company where we're all working under some
Right.
production house.
Production umbrella or
Not even
something like
close.
that.
Yeah.
So Usagi Strife says, origin story of the headband.
I like that. Yeah, so I've gone, you know, the last few years just wearing these junky headbands. I was on set and my hair looked more like yours.
Right.
It was like super long hair, and getting into a viewfinder with long hair sometimes is hard.
It's a real drag, yeah.
So I started wearing headbands when I was only on set.
Right.
I'd wear a headband just to keep my hair out of my eyes. And then I just kind of started liking it and wearing headbands.
Dude, it
every
works,
day.
man.
So now it's my thing.
You're freaking stylish.
Right. With my fancy checkered shoes.
With your bands. Oh,
yeah.
very nice. Representing today.
Yeah, exactly.
Very
Yeah,
nicely
on
done.
top of the world bands.
On top of the world bands.
Right.
So now, all right. So we're right at the top of the hour. So once
Cool.
again, thank you for joining us
Yeah.
here at AdobeLive.com. We're with Matt Eastin, director, editor extraordinaire, who recently directed the Believer music video for Imagine Dragons, along with Roots, On Top of the World. And we're going to get to see some other content too. And I thought maybe
Sure.
we could segue into that.
Sure.
Also, as a reminder, don't forget the Make the Cut contest, makethecut.adobe.com, where you have the chance to re-edit Matt's footage
Yeah.
to create your own version of the Believer
Make it
music
better.
video. Yeah,
Make it better.
Look at this, man.
Come on.
And you could potentially win $25,000. So you want to check that out. And remember, of course, that these live streams are coming to you every 2 weeks at AdobeLive.com with a different creative theme each time around. So we
Cool.
really thank you for joining us, and thanks for all of your questions. So before we get to the non-Imagine Dragons stuff, maybe we'll
Sure.
take a couple more. So Wesley's asking your opinion, worst music video from the 80s.
Are there any bad ones?
They were very right. Are there any? There's such a wide range because if you look at
there
like
is a very wide range.
early '80s versus like when 83, 84, 85, like when Duran Duran started making music videos, right? I
Sure.
think they were one of the first to write.
But MTV was 84, right?
Yeah, well, 82.
Was it?
I think MTV was officially 82. Now, that's not to say that there weren't music videos prior
Because
to
there
MTV.
were.
Right.
I mean, even Pink Floyd and the Beatles were making music
Right.
videos, but
Then-
it was a different thing.
then considered promo films.
Oh, that's true, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
And they would also, and they actually, I believe it was the Beatles themselves who kind of invented the concept of, hey, we can't be on your live show, so we're going to send this promotional video of us doing
Oh, cool.
the song you want to play anyway in studio. So,
Right on.
Paperback
That's
Writer, little nerd moment here. That's one of them where they couldn't be on Ed Sullivan, so they just kind of did a thing in a garden one day, and that's what they sent along.
Which is so much cooler anyway.
So much cooler. And
Yeah.
of course, Paul's playing the same Hoffman
Yeah.
that you've got in this
Good,
video
good
here.
catch, man. Good catch.
So yeah, but you know, I'm gonna have to Google that now to see. For
Do you know
sure.
what the first video ever was on MTV?
Video Killed the Radio Star?
Yeah.
Curiously, a band that starred or featured Hans Zimmer as the keyboardist.
You're good, man. Yeah.
Hans Zimmer, who is part of Media Ventures in Santa Monica, where I used to work, 1,000 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
I'm not gonna do trivia with you. You're gonna have it's. Yeah.
I love Trivial Pursuit. But really only music. I'm really only good at like the
That's
music.
impressive.
Yeah.
I like it. That's cool.
And the name. Does anyone remember the name of the band who did Video Killed the Radio
Yeah,
Star?
that's a tough one.
That's a tough one. We'll see. We got a 30-second delay.
Okay.
So Flyer. So we're going to see some non-Imagine Dragons video coming up now, and actually some really great Bessie Kane, good musical history lesson. Thank you so much, Bessie. The monkey expression is awesome.
Right.
Will there ever be? Oh, this is very curious. We were just talking about this. Harshini's asking a 360 Imagine Dragons music video. Or have they inquired?
I've talked to them about it. They have connections to so many different people and directors and ideas now. Because I had an idea of doing like something with 360 video, and they're like, yeah, they alluded to the fact like that they'd already played with that. I don't know if they were making something with it, or if they had kind of tried it and didn't like it, or so maybe, I guess.
Yeah.
My best answer.
I was going to ask you the Buggles. There you go. Yep.
Yep. That's
Very
good.
Nice DK art. Usagi Strife, Rob Beggs. Something I was going to ask you too, and this actually, I meant to say it yesterday, is with the Roots video. Now I knew you flew there specifically to capture some of those in-concert scenes. Have you ever been approached, or is like shooting like a concert film something you ever thought about doing?
That would be fun. I did a 13 or 14 episode TV series where we did documentaries and we shot a ton of like acoustic performances, kind of like Vincent Moon style.
Yeah.
And I shot a ton of concerts.
Nice.
I love shooting concerts. I love the live music. I love like that energy and trying to capture that.
Now, Now, there's got to be there's certainly a level of difficulty and difference from shooting planned set.
Sure. It's night and day.
Yeah.
But it's fun. And I love that you can't predict anything.
Right.
And even when you think you can predict something, you were wrong.
You were wrong, right?
Yeah. So multiple cameras, it always helps.
Yeah.
You never know what the lighting director is going to change at the last second.
Right.
So maybe where you're standing that was perfect when they rehearsed is now the worst place in the room to stand.
Right, and the spot was supposed to be with this filter, and instead they go full white, so now it's blown out.
Yeah, you're all overexposed. You just need to be ready to adapt.
Wow. Yeah.
But I love shooting live stuff. One of the cooler experiences I ever had was after I did the pilot episode of that TV show with Imagine Dragons.
Right.
We shot their final concert that night, and I'd been hired by Sony to, at the time, they were working on the Pearl Jam 20 documentary.
Oh, yeah.
And they were doing their show in Wisconsin to do their reunion concert.
Yeah.
And I got to shoot that concert.
Oh, dude, no way.
So it was like 2 nights straight, 30 songs per night of Pearl Jam, which, by the way, was my favorite band in the 90s.
Right, I was going to say, I know you're a fan. So,
and then the encore on the second night, they had Chris Cornell come out and do all of the Temple of the Dog album.
Oh, my God.
So the encore was like 12 songs.
Right.
And it was with Chris and Eddie, and I'm like shooting this thinking, I don't deserve to be here.
Right.
I don't deserve this.
This is like the dream of your teen years.
It really was
coming together.
And I was coming off of this high of shooting with Imagine Dragons, and then shooting Pearl Jam the next night, and thinking like why me? Like, there are so many people better than me at this.
The universe likes you, man.
I don't know.
It's because you're a good human and you produce great content. But that's something, again, like we said earlier, like when these things come at you, it's...
Yeah, you don't say no.
And
you make the most of it.
And again, speaking to some of those questions, and yes, Flyer, he was saying that yes, you shoot RAW when you're shooting with cameras that support RAW.
Absolutely.
Obviously, the 70s stuff was compressed H.264, but the epic stuff obviously shot RAW.
Yeah, exactly.
The airy stuff shot RAW as well.
And now I know the Believer footage, it sounds like, was delivered in the zip file or package or however they're downloading it.
Right.
It does have a grade burned into it, right?
Correct. And they're H.264s. And that was, and again, that was simply...
That's for download,
download. It's a 2.5 gig. So if anyone was wondering too, that's why they're provided that way. Just because if we were to give you 30 minutes, and I think there's 30 to 40 minutes of total footage in the package. But if we were to give you 30, 40 minutes of raw, airy footage, it would not be 2.3 gigs.
Right.
So that was that, and still, it's still 1080. and the performance for edit. I mean, they look amazing. I think that was one
Well,
of the
and
first
I've
things I
heard the
told you.
compression was really flawless.
It's
right?
unbelievable. I mean,
Yeah.
and it was done at a media encoder, and actually, curiously, and I think it was one of the guys on your end who did. Someone there did this at transcoding. They didn't actually use any of our presets.
It may have been the record label.
It could. I think
Yeah.
it may have been Interscope.
Okay.
They just used like a modified version of one of our presets, and actually dropped the bit rates that we typically would say recommend for YouTube and things.
Sure.
But I mean, again, shocking. And if you watch any
Very
of the
cool.
how-tos for just getting started, so if you go again here on the Creative Cloud YouTube channel, I did a little 7-part series with Matt's content just to show you. Part 1 is like what to expect when you open the zip, and it just
Okay.
goes through the file organization and sort of what's in there. And then later you'll see like how do I multicam sync this, and we talked about that
Cool.
on Tuesday. There's a point where you basically have available to you 19 clips that can all be synchronized. And I was showing live on this same laptop that's here, same one that
Awesome.
you've got, doing a multicam cut. And actually, I was doing most of it in quarter res, switched to full. It all played in real time.
That's awesome.
Like I've never been able
That's
to
some
play.
good compression.
Dude, no,
Yeah.
I've never been able to play more than 6 or 8 very successfully, even at like a quarter res. Multicamming on here because
Neither have I,
It's
honestly.
heavy.
Yeah.
These clips are so lean. The performance they look amazing, and it's a fun way to work because you're not there's no limitation in like the playback. That's a drag, you know.
Yeah.
And it's just one of those things that you're gonna find took me 3 hours with a 2 megabyte. Nice, Aaron. That's pretty good. So yeah, no. All the footage is 23976. Having said that, though, Cecil, a lot of the shots, in particular with Dolph and Dan, those are you've already time remapped them, so they're slow motion. And,
Oh, cool.
And we delivered quite a few of those. So.
Okay, again, that must have been the label.
Right.
Or coming out of an Alexa, I think that's how they come out of the camera.
Right.
You don't have to modify.
You don't have to modify. No,
Right.
exactly.
Okay.
So they were
That's right.
retranscoded, even though they were playing. 120 frames interpreted as 23976.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But it's still slow.
Correct. Yeah.
So
exactly.
I
So,
like the question here, if you don't mind me.
Yeah,
jumping in.
no, go ahead.
A good edited video with a strong story can help a bad song sound better. Not usually, honestly.
Yeah?
Like I'm lucky working with Imagine Dragons a lot because their music is
They
awesome.
have amazing songs.
Like
yeah.
they don't have, the On Top of the World video has, tons of views. It's because the song's good.
Right. And you actually have said this a couple times
Right.
this week. Like,
I mean, I'm lucky to work with good songs
Right.
because people don't tune into a music video
Right.
with a bad song, even if the video is awesome. I
Actually-
mean, there are a few exceptions.
Yeah.
Like the OK Go videos could be to the worst music in the world,
Right.
and people would still watch those
Right.
because those videos,
Yeah.
they're incredible.
They're incredible. No,
Yeah.
but that's actually a really great point. Is that it's a music video.
Yeah, and the music is
Right.
the bottom line. People watch Imagine Dragons videos because of the songs,
Right.
not because of anything I'm doing.
Right.
I'm just trying to keep up with the music,
Right.
which is already so good.
Right.
And so I just try to come as close as I can to like matching.
Right. And when it is
That
good,
level.
when it is good, then
Then that's great.
that just grows it even
Right.
more, makes the song even bigger, gives it more and more exposure, and
But I'm a believer that a good song with a bad video can get by. But a bad song with a great video usually can't.
Yeah. And you're right, because no one's going to go watch something that they don't like listening to.
Right.
If you're hearing it on Spotify and you don't love it, chances are you're not going to seek out to see if there's a video.
Right. So when people are saying like, "Hey, Matt, I saw the Believer video has so and so views.
Right.
Congrats!" I'm like, "Well, congrats to the band,
Right,
because
right.
they're not tuning in for me. They're tuning in for that song."
A little bit of YouTube.
Well, maybe.
All right.
but-
All right. Oh, I know, Jeanette. You can't stop watching. I know how you feel. I don't want Matt to leave this week. Unfortunately, we've had a really fantastic week. Hello, Abdullah. Very nice to see you. And Flyer in again. Why do filmmakers shoot in 24 instead of 30 or 60? And we talked about this yesterday too. 24.
It's a film look.
Film standard film look. 30, no.
Yeah.
60, if you're going to be doing, slow motion time remapping.
Sure.
60, 120, 240, that's why you do that. If you shoot just everything in 60, then you're going to start looking like episodic TV,
Right.
or the Hobbit movies.
Exactly.
And any video
too
nerds.
many frames can be bad. But
Yeah.
again, in 5 years,
Right.
that'll be the look.
That'll be the look. Like
Everybody
everything
wants
looks,
to look like a soap opera.
right.
you
Everything
know?
will be a soap opera.
Right.
Where the green screen king is so obvious, but now we like that it's so obvious.
Exactly.
Right.
So, yeah.
David, where can you find the multicam tutorial? Yes, so it's all here on the Creative Cloud YouTube channel. Do we have a link for the tutorials, Michael? We do. Okay, we're going to put that in the chat. I believe that's either episode 3 or 4. There's actually a playlist dedicated to all of the Imagine Dragons content. So, Matt, how about we open up that first music video you were showing me before?
Yeah. So this is one I did last year. And this, speaking of that Comic Sans thing, I may have even done what is now considered a faux pas, because it's something that was done in the intro to True Detective,
Okay.
the TV show on
Yeah,
HBO, which
sure.
had the coolest intro
Schwartzman,
of season 1.
Oh, yeah.
And that look kind of came out, and I wanted to figure out how to do it. And I was working with this band that I'm friends with. They don't have budgets yet, but they will, because they're an awesome band.
Mm-hmm.
They're based out of LA, called The Moth and the Flame. And I did a video for them after that True Detective intro came out, called Live While I Breathe. And the video, I shot it myself. I shot it in one night. Let me see, where am I here? All of my
This is a common theme for you.
poorly named
Like
drives
one night,
and-
one day.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
no, because I showed the Middo video yesterday that I shot in one night.
one night, one location.
Shoot it with a DSLR.
Shoot it with a DSLR.
No budget.
That's inspiration right there, friends. I mean,
I do a lot of free music videos because I want to do music videos.
Right.
And so if someone's not paying me to do one,
right.
I still do commercials. I do.
Right. And we're going to see one of those too, right?
Lots of other. Yeah, I'd love to.
Okay.
And so this video for the Moth the Flame here, I'll full screen that. It's control.
Oh yeah, that's it. Yeah, no, Control tilde. You got it.
Was it? Doesn't matter. I thought it was Control. Oh, I just did it.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, I missed it.
No.
So this is just DSLR. I met these guys at their cabin in, one of them had a parent with a cabin somewhere in Utah. So I met up with them while they were in town. We shot out in the snow one night. I'm just shooting with an A7S II. This isn't like the best shot video by any means in the world, but I did like right here, kind of that True Detective inverted look thing like it did in the intro, because I wanted to learn how to do it. Lots of filmy overlays, and so
Double exposure.
yeah. And so maybe at this point, because it's been kind of overdone, it's possible that now that is a current Comic Sans,
But it looks awesome.
It could, and maybe it's just getting there. But I thought I'd show my really low budget way that I pulled off. I pulled off kind of these looks here. And really I did it with no money.
And this is all just like DSLR shot on a white screen.
And I'm alone. Like
Okay.
the crew is one.
No.
Like I shot it, I directed, I held the light,
Dude.
I ran the camera, and
he's playing cymbals between his knees while he's doing
maybe
that.
it feels like it sometimes. And I obviously did the editing, and I did all of the editing in Premiere. So like here's one of the shots. This is one of the band members standing in front of a white piece of paper. So we're not
Okay.
like in a studio
Right.
or anything fancy. In front
Is
of
it
a
like
white piece of
the
paper.
tear sheets?
Yeah,
Those
just like
long-
some
yeah.
butcher paper.
Yeah.
And I've got it. It's actually two pieces because I didn't even get a wide enough.
Oh, right,
piece.
so you had to
so
stitch it.
it seamed together at the top. But
Okay.
luckily, I blew out the background. I lit the background really bright
Right.
just to make the background
Right.
super white.
Super white, yeah.
I'm holding an LED light in my hand while the camera's on a tripod. Basically, I was like holding it right here, just above him, and I'm standing out of the shot. And then I would just tell him, I'm shooting in my Sony A7S II with 120 frames per second, and I just tell him, like, look around a little.
Right.
Like, just give me some different looks. Like, look down, look up.
Right.
Like, turn your head. Like, just trying to get some different looks, playing with the light a little bit. And then I just had some really purposefully bad GoPro footage of just driving through a canyon next to some snowy trees, right? And I shot it upside down because I knew how I wanted to use it.
Right.
So basically, it was just taking this shot, putting the GoPro shot on top, and I'm just gonna, be super analog-y, old-fashioned with this, and then I'm just using the lighten filter.
Right.
Okay. So it's instantly kind of giving that look, and then how much I want to see depends on how much opacity I'm giving.
Right.
Or sorry, how much exposure I'm
Right.
giving. And it's kind of finding that middle ground between, like, do I want to see more of the trees or do I want to see more of the band member? I know there are better and probably more efficient ways to do that look.
Dude, I mean,
I'm sure the True Detective guys did it and they may have used a green screen.
Right.
Or done,
Presumably, right.
Probably like higher budget, cooler way, but this is like a very inexpensive way to get a similar look. And, like here's basically the same one.
right.
This is just, I added like a mask
Oh,
around the eyes, just so the
so that they
eyes
pop in there,
so the eyes pop a little bit.
are unobscured by the double exposure. Yeah.
But yeah, this is kind of a fun video.
That's a great one.
That, at this point, maybe this look is already a little dated. But when it came out, fans of this band were like, how did you do that?
Right.
And I had like some people emailing me. I'm like, I did it in Premiere. I did it with no money.
Right.
And I just tried to make the most of a project that, I was just trying to make the most of it.
Yeah.
And these guys make great music. And this is one of those bands where I want to do some free music videos for them now. Because in a couple years, when these guys are as big as Imagine Dragons, they can call me back and say, "Hey, we've got money now.
That's right.
We want you to do our new video."
Yeah, maybe you can get two people with you.
Two-man crew.
Two-man crew.
Someone can hold the light
For you,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
While you're directing behind the camera.
Yeah, hopefully.
Colette. So no, that wasn't a drone. That was just a GoPro, right? Or was that a drone?
Okay, sorry. So this shot right here, this was me holding a GoPro. This shot right here was just me holding a GoPro out the window of my car.
Your car. Okay.
Now, the first shot of the video, here's my super
That's full screen, the timeline.
Messy timeline.
Yeah, look at that.
I know, guys. I know. You don't have to tell me how bad it is because I know full well how unimpressive this timeline looks. Overlays on top of overlays. To be honest, at the time, it made sense to me. Right. I knew video 2 what was supposed to be on video 2. I knew video 3 what was supposed to be on video 3.
Right.
Now, obviously, I should have compressed that all down into a flat layer.
Could have. Also, you know what someone's saying? What is your signature?
Messy timeline?
No.
Most likely.
An editing signature, not even a stylistic one, but an editing signature. You use the black, the fake letterboxing.
I do.
I love it.
Yeah, I always use the fake letterbox.
I love that consistency. And because people were still asking, and someone just asked a moment ago, they're asking about like aspect ratios. So yes, again here, I mean, now, so you shot A7 II. So was this 4K original, or this was 1080? I can't remember.
Well, if it was slow mo, then it was only 1080.
Right. Okay. So it's all 1080. Yeah. Right. And yet you're still doing the letterboxing to again give it that super ultra wide.
To just give it this. So I just had. So he's referring to these black video slugs that I have up here, that just kind of give that fake cinematic look.
Yeah. So good.
And then this was just some drone footage up in the canyon, shot with my friend Russ on an incredibly snowy day. So he was a brave drone operator.
Did you say that was a DJI Phantom?
It was,
okay,
yeah. Or something like it.
Or something like the DJI
it.
Phantom. There you go.
I might be a little off. Right. But just doing things like flipping the footage. I don't know. It again, like we've got the On Top of the World video where there's all this pre-production, all this time, and then there's this video where the band called me and said, "Hey, we're in town tonight. We're going to be at a cabin out in the snow. Should we shoot something?" And I said, "Yeah, let's shoot a music video tonight."
Right.
They're like, "Well, a music video, or like a performance at the cabin?" And I said, "No, let's shoot a music video."
Right.
And they were a little skeptical, but I like how it turned out. And I mean, it for what it is.
No, it's amazing.
I'm happy with it.
And presumably, because this now again, it's the phone call.
The phone
call that
it's always the phone call.
You didn't show them a storyboard or a lookbook.
Oh yeah, no, it was like, "I'll meet you at the cabin."
Right, and you just had, and that's the thing too. It's like, you had this in mind, the double exposing of the imagery.
And I knew I wanted to try that. And what's funny is that we shot all this stuff out in the snow during the night. Again, super messy timeline, I know. and we just got these shots of snowy branches or.
And did you actually shoot? Excuse me. Did you actually shoot black and white?
I did. Yeah.
You did.
I
okay.
wanted to own it, and so.
So that's the in-camera black and white.
Yeah.
Profile.
So I'm using a black and white profile because I just wanted.
Right.
Yeah, I just wanted to. I wanted to commit to it. Like I don't want to give myself the option of.
That's right.
changing
Right.
it,
No, because I'm looking at the clips, going, okay, I don't
Yeah.
see. It looks like that was actually done in camera.
Oh, this is funny. So I had gotten to travel with my wife Shayla to Hawaii.
Okay.
That last
Oh.
year, and I like had a GoPro, and I just shot some plates of like waves and things. And I don't know
nice.
what made me want to put them in this super snowy video, but
cool.
just that idea of just all these double exposures, and some of them look cool, some of them might be a little over the top, but.
And again, so that's like the one shot where you actually did some color conversion to black and
Exactly,
white. Right, yeah.
because it was just something I already had on that hard
Right.
drive, most likely.
Oh, no,
So.
dude, it works. And it really, too, I mean, even, I know you were saying that some of the
Also
noise or
unconnected
whatever,
media,
but
yeah.
it really kind of showcases that Sony in low light, though. I mean,
It does.
Because you're in
And I wasn't
darkness.
using neat video on this one.
Right.
I don't think I owned it yet.
Wow.
Or maybe I did. But I know I didn't use it.
You didn't use it on here,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
If anything, I added more grain and more.
Right.
to-
More, yeah.
Because then.
Grain, snow, it kind of works together.
Well, and it's kind of
you know?
like if you shoot a project sometimes and it's a little grainy and it looks kind of crappy.
Right.
Make it look even crappier in post. And
Right.
now it was on purpose.
Right,
It's
right,
like-
exactly.
It's a great way of covering up a mistake.
Commit to it. Like
Exactly.
you gotta commit
Just
to
own it.
So, Bemin is asking, how much do clients pay for something like this?
I mean, I did this for free.
Right.
Because I wanted to try it.
Right.
This was like me experimenting and me wanting to put out a music video and wanting to work with a band that I liked.
Right.
Every project has a different budget.
Right. And I imagine it's based on who the artist is in question, right?
Always,
Right,
or who
right.
the commercial
Or
is
the commercial's
for, or who the client is.
Right.
And so it
Yeah.
it's kind of this like balancing act.
Right.
Yeah.
So basically, it can be anything. You never know. Yes. Aaron Hidalgo, if you're asking about Adobe Stock in the competition, so you are provided with some Adobe Stock content in the downloadable package. You cannot add any additional Adobe Stock or any additional footage. You have to use only the footage that's provided, but you can use other apps like After Effects and Photoshop to augment the edit. So that means you could create graphical elements in those apps and bring them in, but only the footage that's provided. Subsonic's asking a question that you've kind of talked about a lot. How long does it take for you to complete a music video? A day?
Okay, so
6 weeks?
So for like this Moth the Flame video, the thing about doing a free music video for a band is that you're not giving away much creative control because you're doing them a huge favor.
Right, huge favor, right.
So they can't come back and say, we need this on Friday.
Right.
Because you're doing them the favor.
That's right.
And so this video, I probably cut a little bit of it over the course of a couple months because I was doing all of my like high priority paying jobs.
Sure.
But then like on, Sunday night,
Right.
I was working on this because it was just something fun I wanted to do and I like these guys and
Right.
and in their case, like I want them to have really good videos because I want them to go to the next level.
Sure.
And so we help each other because I get to use their really cool song to create a passion project.
Right.
And then in return, they get to use the video that I made to hopefully get some more exposure.
Right. And this
So-
is something, and why I think that's kind of significant, that story too, and you talked a lot about this, is that, and I do the same like now, even still, I mean, obviously, your list of credentials now is pretty deep.
It's
and
gotten
awesome.
better, yeah.
It's pretty awesome. But yet, you're still doing kind of pro bono things
all the time.
because it inspires you,
Right.
you believe in it,
And it helps me get better, hopefully.
and helps you get better, and it could lead to something else. And it's that thing, like you said before, you're always learning. Just because you're making money doing things,
Right. It doesn't mean that it will continue.
right? And it also and it also doesn't mean that everything has to have a price.
Right.
Sometimes you just see something, you hear a band, you're like, I just want to make a video.
I
for
wanna
you
work
guys.
with them
I want to work
somehow.
with them somehow.
Uh-huh.
And like you said, if they're kind of undiscovered, unsigned, up and coming,
Yeah.
the likelihood is, they're going to say, okay.
Yeah, usually.
Yeah, usually, right.
Right. And
They might
the
also
other
tell
thing
you,
too is,
and then
well,
yeah.
which happens too, which is totally cool.
Right? Yeah, absolutely. Right.
Yeah. So
Yes. We can see you don't share our vision,
right, exactly,
Mr.
It's
Headband,
like,
and then
all
they're out the
right,
door. Right.
All right, I'll take it.
Hey, don't get personal. Now.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm a big believer in if you want to be a music video guy, make music videos.
Right.
And
Just have to
so
make them.
whether you have money or not, just try. And even if you're not in a position where you can get even a local band to say yes,
Right.
then start finding songs that you wish you could make a music video for.
Right.
And make a music video out of a song that maybe you don't have permission to use, just so you can figure out how to do it and let people see it.
Right.
Working in video, and I'm sure a lot of people watching feel the same way. It's a hard world to. It's hard to advertise yourself a lot of the time, and if you're making commercials, unless someone's finding out who made that commercial and doing the work of seeing who did it,
Right.
it's hard to get credit for doing corporate jobs or commercial jobs.
Because that's not how that industry works.
Not necessarily,
Not
yeah.
tossing names around like it's Scorsese, right?
Right. And so if I'm
Right.
doing a music video, and also like if I'm even saying like, look at this commercial I edited on Facebook or something,
Right.
not a lot of people are going to want to click on it because they know it's a commercial.
Right.
But if it's a music video,
Right.
they're more likely to click, and now I'm advertising for myself without it being
Right.
like heavy-handed.
Heavy-handed, right, right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
not
so
shoving it down their eyes and ears.
yeah. So like I do a lot of commercial stuff, which I really enjoy, and corporate stuff, and I mean lots of stuff.
Yeah.
I mean I'm not just doing music videos all day
No,
every day.
no. So, speaking of that,
Sure.
you had some other projects that you
Yeah.
wanted to pull
And so
up too.
let me see. I might need to disconnect some drives. I can show a couple of these. I have the opportunity to work with a theme park in Utah called Lagoon, and I've been able to do their commercial campaign for like the last 3 years,
Nice.
and they've been really fun.
Looks great.
They
again.
let us do a lot of creative control, and they also are creative people. They're creative too, so it helps. So that
It
we have
helps, yeah.
similar vision a lot of the time.
Yeah.
We were talking at dinner one night about how we're all big fans of Wes Anderson, and so we wanted to make like a Wes Anderson Lagoon commercial.
Right.
And we didn't want it to be like we're stealing Wes Anderson's aesthetic.
Got a bit of the Gwyneth right there.
Yeah, no, that's what we're going for.
Okay.
Yeah, that's exactly, and like the barrette and
Yeah,
everything.
no, that's what
yeah.
I'm saying. Yeah.
Yeah, and so we thought
It's
like
the Royal Tenenbaums right there.
so this isn't us ripping off Wes Anderson. Hopefully, I hope that instead that it's us paying some
Paying
kind of
homage
tribute.
to, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Right,
Because I'm a fan.
Absolutely.
I don't want to. And no one can live up to him anyway. Like even
Right.
my best Wes Anderson is like a D- for him, and I know that. So, like, yeah, I'm aware of that. So here's one that we made last year.
Oh,
You know, we
even
got-
with the typography.
with his font,
Oh,
with the
oh,
long
with the
lens,
long lens.
we know the bird. So I worked with Corey Fox again on this one, who did the On Top of the World video with me, and you can see a lot of similarities with detail and style and. So this is a fun one that came out last year. That again though, a lot of like straight cuts, not the flashiest edit. I think this is the final colored version. It might not be.
That looks good. You really nailed it.
We
too,
shot it with
this.
an Alexa.
I do what I love. And I love Lagoon.
Anyway, I really like how that one
That's
turned
fantastic.
out. Like kind of our Wes Anderson tribute.
That is fantastic,
Not,
dude.
again, it's a lot of straight cuts. Probably too similar to the On Top of the World video to show in the same session.
I don't think so at all. No, and that's just it. And actually, I would say no. It's another level of your. There's something about you right here that I'm gonna get all psyched. You know?
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
So again, it's kind of a nod to like Kubrick, whom obviously
Sure.
you have a great affinity for. Wes Anderson here. So
Right.
yes, the straight cut angle, the kind of retro color style
flat.
design, everything flat, but different and
Right.
unique, and nailed it again, dude.
Oh, thanks.
Like totally. So I'm a huge Wes Anderson fan.
Yeah.
And it's so funny because some of the guys this morning were talking about like soundtracks, and the soundtracks
Oh man,
for those
Royal
movies.
Tenenbaums, like the best
Royal
soundtrack ever.
Ever, right?
Yeah, ever.
Yeah. And honestly, it's like you really brought the spirit. George Carlin, comedian, may he rest in peace, used to say, he was very famous for doing like voices and characters. And in his early days, he used to do impressions, but he never felt comfortable doing impressions. And people would say, do your, name some celebrity of the 60s or whatever.
Sure.
And when the 70s came around, he changed his act a bit, and he became himself. He didn't do impressions anymore. And he said, I never really did impressions anyway. It was just really the spirit of somebody. He would do the spirit of Johnny Carson, or in the spirit of Ed Sullivan or something like that. He never wanted to take credit for trying to impersonate.
Right.
Because he's like, I'm not really good at that.
Right. And it's hard to do.
And
if you miss it, then all of the super fans of that person are going to hate you.
They're just going to hate you.
Which I got a little bit of that.
Okay.
I mean, like a little bit of that for this.
Okay.
People who didn't take it so much as a tribute.
I see.
And more as just a straight rip-off or something. So it happens.
Yeah. It does. It's right. It's going to happen any way.
Right.
Either way. But, again, I think it's in that spirit of trying to...
In the spirit of Wes Anderson.
It really, really works. And... just like, now, were these like local actors or local?
Yeah,
or was this...
the girl I think was from LA. The rest it was Utah crew again.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, and
production time on something like this?
we had good pre-pro.
Okay.
And again, working with Corey Fox, who I can't say enough good things about.
Keeping your crew together.
Yeah, Ty Arnold, DP.
Oh, so Ty too.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
really?
like so far, I mean, other than the ones I've shot myself, like the Middo video.
Yeah.
You can see when I have a budget. He's been on board.
Right.
I'll use a DP when there's money.
Right.
When there's not money, I get out the camera and then I try to fix it in post.
And then he holds the light too. Oh, and there's my
Yes.
sweat mark under my arm. That was pleasant. I do sweat.
Hey,
So it happens, and I'm wearing gray. So let's see, what time have we got? Oh my gosh, we've only got we have about 18 more minutes.
Okay.
So
Yeah, what would you like me to open up? Do you want me to open a project file? Do you want to see?
what would you guys like
Tell
to
me what
see
you-
from Matt?
More about Believer, more about On Top of the World.
There's a lot of stuff going on about the contest today.
Okay.
Which is
Well, we
funny.
can
The
talk
one day,
about that.
the one day we're not showing
That's
any
true.
Believer stuff. But yes, Matt Eastin, you are our legend.
Oh, come
Here,
on.
Mulder. Yes.
You're the legend.
All right. Yost is going to bed. All right, my friend. Thank you for tuning
All right,
in. It was
good
always
night.
good to see you. Someone just asked, do you have a website?
I have a tacky template website
Okay.
that you can find. It is the least professional website ever.
The URL of which is?
is matteastin.com.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
All right. Oh,
and
you're going to pull it up for us.
And
okay.
it references a Squarespace.
Squarespace,
No, I
URL.
don't want to say anything bad about Squarespace. I added the Believer video.
Oh, nice.
Right before we came on, so that it could
okay.
be found on there. But anyway, not an impressive site, but just some different videos.
It works, man. Yeah.
Whatever. I've done a lot with Joshua James. He's a really, really talented artist. Did some editing for Foster the People not long ago.
Mm-hmm.
Low, Mates Estate, a Digitech commercial. They're a guitar pedal company.
Oh my God.
I do a lot with those guys. Harmon.
I forgot you did Mates of State too.
Oh yeah, Mates Estate. They're like, after I worked with them, they became friends of mine.
Oh,
and
right.
we've talked about doing a video over the last couple years, but they live in Connecticut.
Right. I love them, by the way.
It will happen. I
Yeah.
love those guys.
Yeah.
They're like the coolest people. The head and the heart. So here's what's funny. We talked. Okay, I was in Seattle a couple nights ago.
Okay.
Coloring.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Coloring a Lagoon commercial that's about to come out.
Okay.
Okay, so not that one.
Not that one,
Like
a new
a
one,
newer
a
one.
newer one.
Okay. And then I came here the next morning. We talked about how I had worked on audio files and how I'd worked with the Head and the Heart, who's a band I just adore.
Right.
Like it's such a cool band. And so I think I even pulled up a couple seconds of a Head and the Heart video.
Yeah.
And they're from Seattle, so
Right.
I'd just come from there, and they were kind of like fresh on my mind.
Right.
I'd seen a bunch of places where we'd shot together.
Okay, yeah.
And so like that was all really fresh, and then I did the session here on Tuesday, and went and walked around that night while I was on a phone call. In fact, I missed dinner.
Right.
I'm
Oh,
on
that's
the
right.
phone,
Yes.
walking around.
Right, doing the call,
You know,
right.
just walking around San Francisco, and I run into Josiah, the lead singer of the Head and the
No.
Heart, on the sidewalk in San Francisco. So that's John. It's the other singer, Josiah, and he's like, "Hey, I'm in town." John and Charity, also from the Head and the Heart, they're like, "We're here too." Like, let's maybe meet up and hang out. It's like, wait, what?
So
like
random.
I was in Seattle,
Right.
which is where they live.
Which is where they live,
And then
right.
I come to San Francisco to do this.
Were they gigging here, or they were just?
Yeah, John and Charity have had like a little private thing, and I
Okay.
think that they have something going on tonight. So,
Oh, damn, nice.
but yeah, I'm a big fan. This was a DSLR performance that we shot in a. Let's see if I can kind of show. We just shot in this like cool warehouse.
Yeah. Now, so lately you've kind of moved to Sony for your DSLR choice.
Yeah, this would have been a 5D back.
This would have been a
when
5D
I did
when
this.
it was done. Okay.
This
Yeah.
would have been a 5D Mark III. Mm-hmm. Again, though, just use the camera you have.
Right.
You know. So.
Oh yes. Okay. Yeah. Brandon was saying talk about audio files. Yeah.
Oh yeah, Audio Files was the show.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. So this is kind of an excerpt from Audio Files. It was a lot of fun. We shot. This was like me in a Ferris wheel with the head and the heart, doing like a sunset in the Ferris wheel acoustic performance, kind of Vincent Moon style with one camera.
Natural lens flare there. Or
Oh yeah, all of it natural.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not After Effects.
Yeah,
That's right.
exactly.
By the way, some people were asking about do you use After Effects, and you said yeah.
When I really need After Effects, I'll get an After Effects guy.
Right.
I try to do as much as I can in Premiere, like this
Right.
Moth in the Flame video.
Right.
Like I tried to do effects that looked cool, but I'm using the tool that I really know,
That you really
which is
know.
Premiere. And again, I don't even know Premiere that well. Like I'm not some master editor.
Right.
I have some tricks that I use.
Your tricks and they work, and
I hope so.
Yeah, no, they totally do. Let's see. How did you make the? Oh, that's so. So Daniel, you really. I mean, you could tell the story again. How did you make the flag stand out in Believer? I'm assuming he's talking about the tricolor backdrop across.
Oh,
everywhere.
how did
Yeah.
I make that pop? It
Yeah.
was. I don't even want to say hours of rotoscoping
Right.
because it was more like days of rotoscoping.
Right.
Where I needed picture lock almost like 2 days after so that I could spend the next couple weeks rotoscoping
Right.
and then compositing what had been rotoscoped.
Actually,
back
that
in.
we could show that if you wanted to. Just
Yeah,
open
sure.
that.
Let me.
What
let me see
was-
if I got the project right here?
Because what was so cool there, which again I was curious and didn't realize until Matt showed the master footage, is that I thought initially that was composited in all together, and then as it turns out, it was actually sheet fabric.
Yeah,
with
on
light
set,
projected.
because it was supposed to be LED panels.
Right.
And then we did a camera test like the day before. Realized that we couldn't control the strobe.
Right.
We'd been told that we'd be able to dial in
Right.
the same frequency.
The same frequency and
it didn't work.
Oh,
And which is why I did the camera test, because I was really
you were
skeptical.
skeptical.
I'm like I've never seen LEDs that big not strobe.
not strobe. Right.
And so we did this camera test. They strobed like crazy.
Oh boy.
The last minute fix was the night before, adding 3 stripes with those kind of curtains that were backlit.
Right.
That didn't look how we wanted.
Right.
And so
And there's ripples in them.
I
mean, they're
know, and it was
moving.
just there was a
Right.
lot of fixing,
Right.
and because of the fixing, I didn't get to spend as much time editing
Right.
some of the other things I wish I had been able to edit.
Right.
So I mean, everything's always some kind of compromise.
Right, right.
So,
but at the same time, the finished product looks amazing. And then,
Thank you.
I mean, honestly, the way that he sort of replaced what you saw originally. Again, it was pretty. I mean, it was a lot of rotoscoping, but
Yeah.
fixing some of the edges and things.
oh, it was a nightmare.
It was intense.
Yeah.
And it looks so pristine. You'd never say, "Oh, that's fabric" or something. I mean, that's
Right.
why I was intrigued by that, because it was kind of. Oh, I didn't mean to make you change your whole.
Oh no,
concept,
it's
dude.
no big deal. I can open up Believer.
Yes, Abraham, we were just talking about rotoscoping, and this was done for the parts in the...
Rotoscoping is basically cutting out
Yeah,
one frame at a time.
right. Isolating a foreground element from the background. And while After Effects has things like the Roto Brush, which let you kind of draw the outline, and then it attempts to learn the contours and follow it over time, as Matt was describing the other day. I mean, it'll get you so far,
This
but
is
ultimately,
rotoscoping.
yeah, right.
One frame at a time.
That's just insanity. And and
Yeah.
that's so great because you've got even that
Yep.
single hair. I mean,
Yeah, exactly. Let me find one with Daniel Platzman, the drummer. Some shots.
yeah,
more
because
than
he's got
others.
sort of, yeah,
So that's
yeah.
Wayne. There's Ben. That means Platzman's probably next.
Must be.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
So you can see that, cutting out even little hairs, one frame at a time, so that we could basically go back in and add the 3 stripes,
Right.
like the artwork we were trying to emulate from Beeple. Living up to a standard like Beeples is tough.
Right.
I mean, that guy is like the most legit guy.
Right.
I can't say enough about him.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, dude.
And you get to talk to him soon, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
It's pretty cool.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Sorry,
okay.
so I can open up the project, or I don't know if we're running out of time.
We've got another 10 minutes, so yeah, we can open it up real fast.
Okay, cool.
Dave was asking, did you export the frames as pings? Are those ping?
PNGs?
Yeah, PNG files. Yeah.
I think those were TIFFs.
They were TIFFs. Okay, yeah.
But
yeah.
either one would
Either
work.
one, yes.
Yeah.
Ping or TIFF or Targa files.
Right.
Kind of standard there. And yes, you can create the matte right on canvas in After Effects.
This is probably Beeple artwork right here, honestly. That looks like his work. Oh, does it say the
It
art?
does.
I've never noticed.
Yeah.
Over in the...
Looked like the name was Yuri something.
Oh, gotcha. It felt very Beeple
yes, it
inspired.
did. Actually, it did. Yeah. They've gotten really, and those are all Behance.
Those are awesome.
They're all Behance users.
Oh, cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah, so it tells you,
Oh, that's really, really cool.
artwork by so and so. Find him on Behance or find
Missing
her.
my neat video plugin.
Okay, yeah.
Basically the only plugin I ever
That's
use.
right.
Bunch of other offline content. Okay. Sorry, guys. And here is my Believer dirty, messy.
And it's my fault. I didn't have
timeline.
you prep this for today.
Well,
so
but the thing is that I shouldn't have to prep it though.
Yeah.
You
Well,
know,
you know.
like it should have just been clean, but there wasn't a lot of time.
You're too hard on yourself, man. Come on. Yeah.
So
there you go.
we have rotoscope, and then we have original shot, and then we have this new one where now it's basically like a green screen, and then taking this, adding stripes behind it. Which let me see if I've got it. This is a 4K workspace that I use when I'm
like assembling.
and then I'll kind of export things off of that.
Right.
I usually don't do nesting.
Right. Oh yeah, but you were saying that the other day, right?
Yeah, that I just like to have it built. That's one where the rotoscope stands out a little more.
And if anyone's watching,
Okay, so right here.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Okay, so here's what I've got here.
Yeah.
So I've got, this is the rotoscoped image sequence that I built on top of the original shot.
Okay, and point out, look at the
And I'm just
the
using
ripples in the
Oh
in
yeah,
the
yeah,
fabric.
yeah,
there. I
exactly.
mean,
So this is what I'm trying to do, guys. I'm trying to clean up these stripes that I wanted to be pristine and straight and glowing. Which, if they had been the LED panels, they would have done
been,
that.
right.
But they also would have been strobing like crazy. So it was like a last-minute fix, and there was just no time to. There was no time to change it.
Yeah.
It was like right up to the buzzer. So I basically dropped on just a mat right here, the track mat key, you know, video 2, because I've got this on video 2, which gives me this, which is basically like green screen footage,
Right.
more or less.
Right.
So then I exported that with an alpha channel, which gave me now this. So now this is its own shot on an alpha channel. Alpha channel means that the transparency is there. So he's on his own transparent grid now because I exported that millions of colors plus.
Yep.
You know, ProRes 4444.
you were
Or
saying
the
you use-
animation codec maybe.
Yeah, but you were saying you use ProRes like
Yeah.
a lot, and that's
Yeah,
kind of the standard for delivering to Vivo.
Exactly.
And, it still persists.
And so then this here, so I'll just break down these layers. So I have now Ben, who was on top.
Right.
And then these were the bars that I was using to replace my other bars.
Okay, check that out, dude. This is
And then this right here is the floor mask. Look at his feet there. You
right.
can see it kind of on and off.
Right,
where I
right.
blurred it.
Blurred it a little bit. Yeah.
And then this would have probably been just the rest of the stars in background. So you can see that other mask a little better
Yeah.
now. So it's like a layer on a layer on a layer on a layer on a layer. And hopefully it looks better than bad curtains. But you can see too that it's not perfect. All I ever see are imperfections in my finished work. But I've got a straight line right here that jogs over to something that doesn't perfectly line up. But, you know,
Did you feather the mat?
I did.
You did, yeah.
Yeah,
you
I
showed
did.
some of that the other day too. Yeah.
So this, I think this is the matte layer, and I just did it, you know, it's a pretty simple
Yeah,
mask.
you've got about a 10% feather on there. Good
I
call.
can,
Good
I
call,
can
David.
take that. Sorry, not 50%. But like big footage. But anyway, you can just see this kind of sloppy mat that I had to make. Everything was run and gun. You know, that's just how it goes.
I know someone was just asking just about like how you color corrected this, and we've got a short amount of
Yeah.
time, but you know, I don't know if you want to show a clip, but it was very simplistic. You
It
really,
was,
You
yeah.
used a LUT for the camera.
That we had in the camera.
Right.
We tuned it in
Right.
so that we could see it on our monitors on set.
Right.
With a look on it. I don't
Right.
like looking at flat footage when
Right.
I'm on set
Right.
because it's so uninspiring.
It's hard to get inspired, right?
Yeah, and so it's nice to have a LUT in your camera when you can do that.
For your reference when you can, right?
Yeah.
And then a couple basic corrections.
Yeah, and then it was
imagery.
like, some up and down,
Yeah, pull down some highlights.
Oh, it looks like
there.
that was maybe for the bars.
Oh, okay,
but
yeah.
anyway, in fact, what I would have done here now is I would have exported
This whole thing.
into its own shot.
Right.
And then it was just simple, up to the whites, up the exposure.
Right.
Maybe added some neat video.
You were talking
But,
about adding a little
before
bit of
and
S
after.
curve to most of the shots.
And the tint.
And the tinting. Yeah.
And I like very old school of me, like used the tint filter.
Dude, I love
You
that.
know?
I love that.
So, but like
Everybody
that's-
should try using the tint filter today
Yeah.
in Premiere. It's been there
Why not?
forever. Yeah, and honestly, dude, you just revealing and all native effects with the exception of Neat Video.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. No plugins.
So cool. I
Yeah.
mean, just
but lots of
unbelievable.
rotoscoping.
And Ganga River. So yeah, you were saying you use an iMac, right?
Yeah,
And,
I mean, when I'm-
or a laptop. I mean,
Yeah, I'll use whatever's in front of me
Mm-hmm.
and make it work. And you trained me on Proxy edits yesterday.
Oh, right, yeah.
So now I'm a Proxy guy.
You're all Proxy
Yeah, I
into
really
Proxies
am.
now.
I
That's so
spent
cool.
all night making Proxies on an edit I'm about to do. So
That's awesome.
yeah, so thanks.
No, dude, no. Pleasure's
Yeah.
mine. That's awesome. Okay, so we've got approximately 3.5 more minutes. Did you see something?
Yeah, Daniel, don't feel cheap editing it without the rotoscoping. Like, make the most of what's there. It'll look cool.
And
I expect the winner's
Yeah.
cut to look better than my cut. Like,
Well-
I fully expect it.
Yeah,
So I'm
and-
going to be disappointed if it's not better than mine.
well, and you said something the other day too, which was like, it doesn't have to be rotoed super style.
No.
Like, really make it something totally different.
Right,
you
just
know?
make it different.
Yeah.
And just be creative.
Mm-hmm.
I think that I'll have some say after it's kind of weeded down to
Yeah.
a few of the top.
Sure, yeah.
That I'll get a vote on who the winner is
Yeah.
potentially.
Yeah.
I have a feeling whoever wins, their cut isn't going to look like my cut.
We would hope
I
not.
mean, I have
right?
a feeling
Yeah,
that it's
yeah.
going to be a new take on it.
Right.
Which I'm excited about.
You'd actually said yesterday too, like you hope like that that maybe they hadn't even seen your cut. Like that would be your dream. that
It
they'd
would
never-
be.
yeah,
That
yeah.
I'd like them to see my raw footage and come up with their own interpretation on it
Right.
without having this preconceived idea of
What it was
of
or what it is
was.
now. Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah, yeah.
Exactly.
So Abdullah, what is Proxy? So Proxy is essentially a lightweight, smaller copy of your original media,
Right.
solely created for the purpose of speeding up the cutting process. And as
Yeah.
Matt and I were showing yesterday, so like shooting in 4K or shooting in 5 or 6K, trying to cut native 6K on a laptop is just
Or an iMac.
or an iMac
Or a
really
Mac
anything
Pro,
or
honestly.
anything.
Yeah.
It's just painful.
Yeah. It doesn't play back well. It
Right.
stutters, especially when you have layer on top of layer on top
right.
of layer.
Yeah.
Your computer's not going to play back, so Proxy's taking your 5K file, shrinking it down to like a 720p or
Right.
a 1080p file, and then when you export it,
You can
you
just
export it big again.
big again, and it's
Yeah.
a single click to flip between the two. And actually, this Monday here on the Adobe Creative Cloud channel, I'm going to be doing a whole showing you how to do a proxy workflow. So if you tune in Monday at 1 p.m. Pacific time, I'll be showing that exact process that Matt and I were kind of going through yesterday.
Cool.
So
Hey, Jude.
hey, don't make it bad.
Right.
that was just a good, perfect lead in right there. So, and Triss is saying you're going so bold with your color grading. Who knows if that's going to work out? No, be bold.
Yeah.
I was going to say too. I guarantee there'll be some monochrome.
Oh, I hope
variation.
so.
Yeah, I mean you're going to see some monochromatic variations.
Hypersaturated, desaturated.
Right.
Right.
And this footage again, because it was shot and processed so beautifully. I mean, you have this great latitude to work with here, even though they've been compressed
They've been
down.
compressed. There's still latitude.
There's still latitude, and it
Yeah.
really holds up. And oh man, I know we can't wait. And unfortunately, our time is up.
All right, end of day 3.
So Matt,
this has been fun.
Thank you so
Yeah,
much. Thank you
no,
so much for
I'm
coming
lucky.
here and for really gracing us with all the incredible work that you do. Again, you can actually get your hands on some of Matt's work via the Make the Cut contest. Coming up next, we've got Sarah Dici and John Hill. The end of day 3 here on AdobeLive.com. So stick around for that. And what can I say, man? It's It's been an absolute pleasure.
Yeah, thanks.
Love you, brother.
Pleasure's
Thank
mine.
you. No, this was
Yeah.
fantastic. And
Cool.
stick around. Sarah and John will be up in just a couple of moments. We'll see you next time.
Thanks,
Thank you.
guys.
Take care, everybody.
Good luck
Bye-bye.
with the contest.